the speaker is finished and we're in the question and answer phase, like I said, you guys are able to raise your hand, and that way it's more organized and it's more able for me to call on you so that you can go ahead and ask the speaker a question. So you can come off mute and ask the speaker a question, just because it's going to be too much for me to keep up in the chat if you have questions. And if our speakers, if they do have that time to answer questions in the chat, they can, but we definitely want to respect everyone's time. And I want to make sure that it is very efficient for them to go ahead and answer your question. So I hope everybody kind of understands what I'm saying with that. So that, you know, whoever has a burning question, they can get it answered, because I would hate for you guys to miss that opportunity, you know? So, okay, so let me go ahead and get started. Let me start my camera. Okay, it's gonna take a minute. Hi guys, okay, so you can kind of see me. All right, so everyone can see me. I can see everyone. Welcome to our virtual sit and chat. Right now we are working with our CEOs, influencers, brands, business coaches. We kind of have everybody in the mix. So a little bit about me. Hopefully you guys
can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
I can't hear. I can't hear you, Yo-Shea.
Let me see. Someone says it can hear.
It's not on mute.
Let me see.
Okay, now I can hear.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, sorry.
They're fine. So can everyone, you guys can hear me? Everyone else can hear me? If you can want to put a thumbs up. Okay, perfect. All right, great. All right, so we're recording. All right, so like I said, guys, my name is Monique. I am the founder of Yo-Shea Naturals. We focus on selling effective products that cater to skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis. That's kind of why I created my brand. As you guys know from like my story, I grew up with eczema. I had a really bad eczema. I was teased because it was so bad that I had outbreaks on my arms, and it would just look like a nasty cut. So, you know, growing up in Jamaica, I had that on my arms and I would get made fun of because of it. So just to kind of give you a background of why I was driven to start my brand, which is Yo-Shea Naturals. And from there, you know, the products I kind of help with hair loss and then also with reducing the stretch marks. So that's my vision as far as for the brand, is to make effective products. And then as far as extending to that, I do have a heart to build orphanages. I do have a heart to do more outreach because it's not, I mean, we do have, you know, a lot of organizations that do that, but, you know, they're not going to have the same vision that I do. So I want to make sure that my vision is fulfilled. And that is my, you know, point for building this brand and continuing to build on it. Okay, so you guys kind of have a quick, brief summary about me and, you know, my purpose for starting the brand. So now I want to go to our first, before we get to our speaker, Miss Monique, we're going to go to our first brand, which is the International Hope. If she's on the line, if she's not, that's okay.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, perfect. So I definitely want you to tell us about your brand. We kind of, you know, map that out and tell us your name, whatever you want to give us as far as your, your intro.
Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Kershandra Duplashan, and I'm the author of Intentional Hope blog and brand. And first, I want to say thank you so much, Monique, for allowing me to share. I really, really appreciate the opportunity to share my heart and passion. And Intentional Hope is a brand and a blog dedicated to sharing personal growth tips, motivation, and encouragement for daily life. I started Intentional Hope back in June of 2018. I started writing blogs and posting quotes to really encourage people. it started from it was birthed out of a hard season in my life, a season where I just felt a lack of purpose and just a lack of drive. And I just kind of felt lost, and I ended up getting tired of, the way I was feeling. So I just started to read books. And as I started to read, I started to grow, and I realized I just felt the life come back to me. And I Intentional Hope is really dedicated to helping people grow. Like, my heart is to see people grow and become the best version of themselves. So I like to share my personal experience and things that I'm learning from books that I've read. There's a book, the first book I read whenever I started reading was a book called Think Differently, Live Differently by Bob Hamp. And this book, it just really challenges you to change the way that you think, because when your thinking changes, it changes your life, like your actions and your life. And like, whenever I started reading the book, there was this story. I'm not going to share the whole story. I'm just going to share just a small part that really challenged and encouraged me. This story was about these acrobats, and these acrobats they were really great at their craft. They were the best, and people knew that they were good. And they had a son, and they just knew that their son was destined for greatness. And so one day they were traveling, and the son ended up, he was a baby, and he ended up falling off the train, and they ended up not finding their son. But they didn't know that there were these farmers who were walking down the road. They ended up finding the son. But back then they didn't have social media or anything, so they weren't, they never really got back with the son. And so the acrobats, they lost their son. So the farmers ended up raising the boy. He ended up growing up. He was very passionate about jumping from things. He had a real thrill for adventure. And so after, once he grew up, the farmers, they kind of got nervous, because he would, they didn't want him to hurt himself. They kind of, they were fearing that he would hurt himself. And so they would tell him, hey, don't do that. And so the boy, he vowed that he wouldn't do it. And so, just to make a long story short, the boy ended up going to a store one day. He saw this poster with these acrobats, and he asked his parents to go. So they took him. And once he saw the poster, he got alive. They went to this show, and they ended up meeting each other. Like, the former parents and the acrobat parents ended up meeting each other and realized that their stories connected. And so basically, I just wanted to share this because this really encouraged me, because it encouraged me to, never stop dreaming. Like, for him, he was very passionate, in the beginning, but there were circumstances and the different experiences in life that stopped him from, dreaming and being passionate about what he wanted to do. And so Intentional Hope, I created Intentional Hope to really help motivate and encourage people, to don't lose that passion. Whatever, it doesn't matter what season of life you're in, never stop growing, never stop believing in what it is that you desire to do. Some seasons are hard and you might experience some things, but don't allow that dream that, God has placed in the inside of you. Don't allow that dream to die. And I just wanted to share this because I hope it encourages you. Like, I know that we're in a tough season with the coronavirus and everything, but I hope that, in this, that you will just continue to grow. You continue just to become the best version of yourself, because there's so much opportunity and there's so much greatness inside of you. And what you have is so valuable, no matter how big or small it may be. Stay consistent and stay going after whatever it is that's in your heart. And I just want to encourage y'all with that. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And that was an awesome story. I definitely appreciate that in that book. So what I want you to do for us, just because we can kind of keep track of you, please put your information in the chat, and anyone that wants to reach out to you or get in contact, they can go ahead and do that. So please put it in the chat so that anyone that's kind of popping in and out, if they come later, they can see that information, because that was awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I love your brand. I love your story. I love, that information and what you're driven by, because sometimes, like you said, things can get hard and things can get tough. Many of you might know, because you follow me on social media, that I have had an ongoing, battle with depression, and that has kind of hindered my business. It's hindered my weight and, certain things in my life. So I just have to make sure, like you're saying, being an overcomer and just, you have to push through. And sometimes you may need medical help. It's not a bad thing to seek help. And I think sometimes what happens is that we sometimes as a community might shun people for saying, you know, I have this issue with depression. I have this issue with anxiety. How can I naturally overcome it? And if I do need a prescription, I need to make sure that I am fulfilling my life, so I have to take that step. So I love that story and how open you are with it. And, you know, even with my own story, I have to be open with it because there's people that are battling it and we never know what we can, you know, do to help them overcome. And this is why I'm kind of creating, or not kind of, this is why I've created this group and these speakers. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first speaker. Like I said, this is just a meeting, a chit chat, casual event. You know, don't feel restrained or scared to ask the questions, especially to the speakers. If you have a question to the brand or the influencers that were on the flyer, put it in the chat. I know they're going to try to keep up with it as much as possible. But as far as the speakers go, I want you guys to be open with the questions and, you know, just getting the information you need from them or you want to hear, because they're at a level that they can inspire us. You know, they can be somebody as a role model. So, and that's what Monique has been for me. So I'm going to start with introducing her. So you guys know Monique Rodriguez. She is the CEO of Mayel Organics. They recently came out with a new line, the rice collection. I don't know if you guys got that, but I did, because I am a product junkie in recovery, and I'm going to be in recovery for a while. I don't mind being in recovery because I can always ship my products to someone else if I don't like it, but I'm going to be buying stuff, and I like buying hair products and skincare products, period. You know, even if I start making hair products, I'm going to be a junkie. Sorry. Okay. So basically our speaker is Miss Monique. She has mentored me last year. She's definitely, I know when she was mentoring me, it seems like I wasn't doing what she was saying because she wanted me to show my face more and I didn't want to, but I'm definitely implementing all her notes that she has given me. It was a course of about 6 weeks. So anyway, our speaker is awesome. I'm going to try to introduce her in 3 minutes, but I'm going to try my best. Like, out of all the out of all the bigger brands, as far as, I don't want to compare, but I'm just going to say this, like, Monique is always available. Like, I don't know how she does it, knowing her following and what she has to do with her company, and she's a wife and she's a mom, but she's always responding to my emails. She's always responding to my DMs. Like, she's always trying her best to touch everyone that she comes in contact with. And I know that's a part of her heart, and I just love and admire that. I love and admire her brand. I love and admire her customer service. I just love her and admire what she stands for, and that's why I definitely wanted her to be a speaker. And I wanted her to start us off on the right foot because I know, you know, she's the starter. And I just had love and admire her work ethic and how she created this brand out of basically strategy. You know, it was a, you know, tough time, and she may talk about this in her life where she created this brand out of that tough time. And I appreciate that, guys. She has a podcast on Apple. So it's called The Secret Sauce to Success. I want to make sure I get it right. She also has a conference coming up. I don't know if there's openings still. Don't ask me. Just look on the website. That's coming up in October to inspire people. But overall, you guys probably already know why I love Monique and what she stands for and the example she sets. So I definitely want her to kick this off as far as inspiring you guys and, you know, whatever struggles you may have. So guys, I'm going to pass it over to Monique, and she's going to put her information in the chat if you want to follow her on Instagram, and we're going to go in. All right.
Wow. I mean, like, I don't know what to say after that. But thank you so much, Unique. This is amazing what you're doing, and I'm actually glad to see you stepping out of your comfort zone. I know this is not, you know, something that's necessarily comfort for you, but you know, we all have to step out of our comfort zone in order to experience greatness. I did put my information in the chat, so it's there. My Instagram handle is exquisitemo and at Mayel Organics. But I guess I'll just start with just sharing my story and how Mayel Organics was created. I started in 2014. We're actually coming on our 6-year anniversary, which is next week, May 23rd. So I've been doing this for 6 years, and it's been truly a blessing. And you say, like, I don't know how she does all of this. I don't know how she still responds. Like, I really don't know how I do it either. I was just talking to, who was I talking to earlier? I forgot. I was talking to somebody, but I was just saying, like, I really don't know how I'm able to do this and still stay sane because, you know, trying to make sure that I'm pleasing everyone. I know I can't, at the end of the day, I can't please everyone. But, I do ask for increase. That's a part of my prayer. But I also ask God to prepare me for that. So just for instance, I was talking to Stacy. I was telling her how like I've had like a surge of like DMs. My DMs are just like off the chain. They're just like blowing up. And I try to respond to everyone. And I know that it's not humanly possible to get to everyone because I don't like how Instagram does the DM. So it's really hard. It's not like an email. So it's not like when you respond, you go to the next one. Like you literally have to make sure you scroll all the way up to make sure you're not missing anyone. So I find myself doing that just so I can try to respond to everyone. So I was just telling Stacey, like, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I know how, but I don't know how because I know that God has given me the strength to do everything that I'm doing. And she's like, I don't know how you're doing these lives every day. I'm like, I don't know either. Like, God's just giving me the strength. Like he's definitely using me in a season where I honestly did not see myself doing this. Like, I didn't see God using me in the way that he has. Like, I never thought that I would be that person to just motivate, encourage, and inspire others. So, to see how he's using me in this season, because I really don't know how it's not me. So I'm just truly amazed and just blown away by how he's working and how he's working in my life. So that's just first and foremost, everything that I do, I give all glory to God, and I will continue to do so. Because I know what he's brought me through. But I started in 2014, and my background is in nursing. So I was a registered nurse for 8.5 years before I started my Yale Organics. And I worked in labor and delivery, and then I transitioned to home health my last 3 years of working as a nurse. I went to nursing school because that's what was instilled in me ever since I was younger. My mom told me that you are supposed to go to school, you are supposed to go to college, you are to get a 9-to-5 job, and you work that job until you retire. You have job security. There's nothing better than job security. But however, it's not job security if you're miserable. And I was miserable at my job. I had to work nights because when I graduated nursing school, I had just had Mia, which is my oldest daughter. And I didn't want to put her in daycare. I didn't trust people to watch her. I still don't trust people to watch my kids. So I had to work nights. Melvin worked day shift, and it was terrible because I felt like I wanted to be home with my kids. Like, I didn't have control over my own schedule. I was at the mercy of somebody else's schedule. I had to work weekends. I had to work holidays, and I just hated it. I always loved helping people, but I didn't like working for someone else. And so when I first stepped foot on the nursing unit, when I had just graduated, I told myself, I'm like, okay, this is great. I really thought I was doing it. I had my little red Solero. I upgraded to a Lexus with my nursing paychecks. And me and my husband, we bought our first townhome. So I was 22 years old, and I was doing a lot of things that other 22-year-olds were not doing, because where I come from and the environment that I grew up in, people where the neighborhood that we came from, they were not doing anything. And until this day, some of them are still not doing anything. So I thought that, we were living a life. But I quickly told myself, I'm like, but this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I eventually started working agency about a year after I got my experience, and I went from hospital to hospital. And the reason why I worked agency was because it gave me the opportunity to take control of my own schedule. I had that autonomy to make my own schedule, not work weekends. I didn't have insurance, but I was able to get on Melvin's insurance, which is my husband. And so it gave me a little bit more flexibility and freedom. But however, I was going all over the city of Chicago, working everywhere. And I'm like, okay, this is not it either, because I thought this is what I should be doing. I was working agency, you make a lot more money. So I was making about $45 an hour as a new grad. So a fresh nurse making $45 an hour was really good. But I was also making what nurses who worked for 30 something years, what they made. So I told myself, well, if I'm making this now, and I just started, I'm a year into this, the only type of raise that I'm going to get is a cost of living raise, because I'm already at the top of the pay scale. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And then I saw all the other nurses that I worked with, their bodies were breaking down. They were like, their knees were aching, their back was hurting, just from the heavy lifting and things that we do as nurses. And I said, I don't want to be like this. So throughout my nursing career, I always try to find a way out of nursing. So quickly into this, I tried to start a jewelry business. That didn't work. I tried to go into like direct sales. I did Avon, I did Scentsy, I did Mary Kay. So I was trying to do a whole bunch of things because I knew deep down inside that I always wanted to be a business owner. That was from since I was a little girl. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I never thought that it was possible because I didn't have examples of women that looked like me that started their own business. I actually thought that being a business owner was something that a white man did. So I didn't have any examples. So I never thought that, it was something that was achievable for me because it wasn't something that it wasn't tangible. So I was starting all these things, and everything that I started, it failed. And so I really got discouraged, and I said, well, okay, maybe this business thing is not for me because everything that I start, it's not working. But the thing that I realized is that everything that I started, I didn't seek God first. I didn't grow up in church. I knew there was a God, there is a God, but I didn't have a relationship with God. We would go to church sometimes, Easter, Christmas, we were those type of church people. And I didn't have that relationship one-on-one with God to like really get still and hear from him. So I didn't know what I was doing with my life. And so I tried to start all these things, and I said, well, okay, this is not working. So let me go back to what I know. And that was nursing. And I decided to go back to school and get increase my degree and get my bachelor's and master's in nurse practitioner. I was like, well, maybe if I'm a nurse practitioner, this will save me because I'll make more money. This will save me. So ended up going back to school to become a nurse practitioner, and I got pregnant with Mackenzie. So when I got pregnant with Mackenzie, she was born early. And for those that don't know, both of my daughters, they're born on my birthday, October 15th. So Mackenzie, her due date was not in October. Her due date was in January. So out of all the days that she decided to come early, she came on October 15th. And so she was about, I think I was like almost 7 months pregnant. So of course she didn't go home with me right away. She had to stay in the hospital. So of course, me going to school, I'm not thinking about going back to school now. I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that my daughter is healthy and she's coming home. So that quickly derailed my nurse practitioner career. When she came home, I went back to my regular job, working in labor and delivery. And then I transitioned to doing home health. And when I did home health, that gave me more autonomy. It gave me more control over my schedule because now I was able to work day shift, and Melvin had ended up switching to night shift. And so now our roles switched. So now I was able to work a certain hour. I think I worked from like 9 to 3. He would be there with the kids. And then once I got off, he would go to work. So our schedules worked then. And then I ended up putting her in preschool. So it was fine. So then I decided 2 years later that I need to go back to school because I still don't like my job. I hate it. And I was just bouncing from job to job because I didn't like nowhere that I worked. And I had to realize that it wasn't the job that was making me unhappy. It was the career that I was in, and I was in a career that I didn't necessarily choose to go in. It was something that was chosen for me. So my second time going back to school, I got pregnant again. So it's something about me going back to school that I get pregnant. So I got pregnant again with my third child. And of course, it was a surprise. We were not expecting to have any more kids after Mackenzie because her pregnancy, it was a very high risk pregnancy. So, it was a surprise. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to enjoy this pregnancy and be thankful and be happy. And 8 months later is when like my whole world just like went upside down because of course, this was a pregnancy that I didn't expect, but we learned to enjoy it. We found out that we were having a boy, so we were super excited about it. And in August of 2013 is when I had a uterine rupture. And I ended up going back to school. I was in my nurse practitioner program, had a uterine rupture in August, and that's when everything came to a halt. I ended up having my son, and unfortunately, he was born brain dead because he lost oxygen to the brain because the doctors didn't deliver him quick enough. So, of course, that was just like a tragic situation. I really was like lost. I did not even understand why God spared my life and took his. I was really just searching for answers. And I went through the grieving process of asking God, why me? Why me? Why did this happen to me? But I had to shift my narrative and ask, why not me? What are you trying to show me from this situation? And number one, the one thing that God was trying to get me to do or get me to realize is that I can't live this life without keeping him first. Because everything that I was doing, I was trying to do things the Monique way and not doing things God way. God always had that, he always put that vision in me to be a business owner, I've always had that drive to be on my own, but I doubted myself. I had fear because I didn't have any examples. And God says, you don't need any, all you need is faith. I didn't need the examples. I didn't need anyone to look up to, but I didn't realize that. So the first thing that God was showing me was that I need to put my faith and I need to put my trust in him. So I tell people all the time that my son came here for a purpose. He has taught me more than anybody on this earth could ever teach me. He taught me to have a relationship with God. He taught me to have faith. He taught me to have courage. He taught me to believe in myself because I never believed in myself. I never thought that what I'm doing right now was something that I could accomplish. So number one is when I realized that I need to give God a try and I need to turn my life over to him. So after that time, my son, he ended up staying on life support for about 6 months. So, me and my husband, we couldn't let go of that right away. So we had to let go of him and let him go be with the Lord in when we felt okay, because it was extremely, extremely hard. And 6 months later, we decided to unplug him from life support, and my son eventually passed away. But during this time, me and my husband, we got saved. During the 6 months he was on life support, we were going to church, we got saved, we were learning about God, we were believing. Like our whole life shifted once we got saved. Once we got saved, gave us the strength to take my son off of life support and to know that he came here for a reason. My son came here to save me and my husband. He came here to bring us closer to God. So that's why I say no one could ever replace what he did for me. And he was only here for a short period of time. And going through that, I had to understand that my pain led me to my purpose. So getting saved, going to church, throughout all of this, I had an idea, and the idea came nowhere but from God. And it was like, talk about hair care. My hair was severely heat damaged. I was like, okay, what is going on with my hair? Because I stopped going into the salon, and I noticed that my curls were totally damaged. So as an outlet, I went back to my passion, and that was beauty. I've always loved beauty. I've always loved hair care. And so as an outlet, something to get my mind off of the situation that I was going through, I took to social media to talk about something that I loved and something that kept my mind occupied, and that was talking about hair care. So I took to social media, started talking about hair care, started sharing my journey of just me transitioning from heat damaged hair to going back to embracing my natural curls. And I started mixing products at home in my kitchen. And it was just a hobby for me. It was something that I just found so rewarding. It was something that, just took my mind off of what was going on in my life. And throughout all of that, God was revealing to me my purpose through this situation, because the only reason why I took to social media to talk about hair care was because I was going through something emotionally, and that was making me feel good. That was keeping me from being depressed. That was keeping me from having anxiety, and it was keeping me sane so I could still be a mom to my 2 daughters, because I still had to be present for them. And it was like one thing just led to another. I kept educating. I kept talking about hair care. I kept making products. And I feel that God uses us all as vessels. And that's why I say God is just using me as a vessel to speak to whoever is on this Zoom, because it's something that I'm saying that you need to hear. And so that's what we're all here on this earth to do. We're here to serve. And I started getting messages from different women on Instagram. And this one lady, and I will never forget, she sent me a DM and she said, I love the recipes that you're creating. She would even try it. And whatever I made, I don't even remember what I made. She was like, it made my hair extremely soft and I really love it, but I don't have time to make my own products. Can I just buy what you just made? And so that really stuck out to me, because it's like, somebody wants to buy something from me. Out of all the other things that I tried to create and start, I could not get one sale to save my life. But this one thing that I'm not intentionally doing, somebody wants to buy. And I really took her comment seriously. She wanted to buy something from me. But what that speaks to is that I was operating in my gift. I was operating not intentionally trying to sell something, but I was using the gift that God gave me, and I was operating in that, and my gift made room for me. And so he was using her at that moment to speak to me, to confirm, this is what you should be doing. This is your gift. So just operate in it and just have faith in it and just trust the process. And that's what I decided to do. And I said, you know what, God, I'm going to just trust you. I'm going to just step out on faith. Don't have any business experience. I don't know anything about the hair care industry. I don't know anything about the beauty industry. I just know that I love it. So I said, you know what? God put this vision in me. I'm going to try to research, because faith without works is dead. So I decided that I was going to read every single book there was about business. I listened to every single podcast that I can possibly find about branding and marketing. I went to every networking event. So I put in the work so I can learn and educate myself, because there's something about self-education. What I have learned in business, no college, nobody could have taught me this. I had to learn it and go through it myself. So because I was able to learn myself and educate myself, I learned how to create a website. I learned how to build up anticipation. I learned how to market. I learned all of that stuff just from Google, podcasts, and reading books. And I decided that I'm going to start a website. I started my website. I started with one product. I learned that I needed to Google and find a chemist to help me formulate, because when I was creating products at home, I can't sell that because it's not preserved. So I needed to have a preservative in order for the products to not go bad. So I had to understand like the chemistry of creating hair products. So I found a chemist on Google that happened to be in Chicago. So all the pieces lined up once I started putting action and my faith into work. And I researched this chemist, came out to see their facility, loved what they were doing. And I said, you know what? This is what I want to make. These are my ingredients. This is how I want the products to perform on the hair. And they looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, I need your help to make this happen. And they eventually took me serious. Before that, I did get a lot of no's. I went to a lot of different other chemists, but either their minimums were too high, they told me no, they didn't take me serious, but I kept pushing forward. I kept trying. And this one chemist believed in me and said, you know what, we're gonna work with you. And I started with one product. And people ask me, well, why did you start with one product? Because I didn't have no money. I was using my paychecks. I also had to pay bills as well. So in addition to my current bills, I had to take money from my bills and help invest that into this business that I was trying to start. So that's why I started with one product. And I launched it on May 23rd, 2014. And that one bottle of oil, which is our mint almond oil, sold like crazy. And it was like, I just couldn't believe it. But I was just blown away, because God, he showed me what will happen when I submitted to him, when I decided to get saved and give my life over to Christ. He showed me what will happen if I trusted in him, because all we have to do is just trust in him, trust in the process. We have to stand on his word and know that this is in his word for us. He wants us to live a prosperous life. He wants us to excel in everything that we do. He blessed us with those gifts and talents to serve others and to share it with the world. And those gifts and talents were already inside of me, but I didn't believe in myself, and I had doubt and fear. And God does not give us the spirit of doubt and fear. He gives us the spirit of hope. And so I had faith. I had hope that this was going to work. And my Yield Organic 6 years later has just literally just exceeded beyond my expectations. But it says in Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20, that he will bless you exceedingly beyond your wildest imagination. And I'm paraphrasing, but he blessed me exceedingly abundantly beyond what I expected. And, you know, everything that I do, like God, I always see God's hand in it, because like even with our recent rice water launch, we thought we had enough inventory. We quadrupled what we planned from our last launch. So we said, we're going to quadruple this, so we make sure we have enough. And God still showed out. And so, you know, I guess my message is to just trust him. And I stand on Jeremiah chapter 17 that, you know, even though we're in a drought, we're in a pandemic, that it's in his word that he will still allow us to bear fruit. But what do we have to do? We have to believe in him. We have to trust him. So this whole situation that we're in, not one time did I panic, not one time did I worry, because I knew God has me, because I've been through way worse things than this. And I've seen what he has brought me through, and to see what he has brought me through, like, this is a piece of cake. Like, this is nothing to me. So we just have to learn to trust him and learn to not worry, not fear, not doubt. And the thing is, those feelings are normal. We're going to get those feelings because we're humans. But I've learned to not let those feelings take control over me, and learn to take control over my feelings, because it's all in our thought process. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Sandra, I think you said it so perfectly. Like, we have to learn how to train our thoughts. We have to train our mind to think positive in all situations. So again, if I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't be able to think how I think right now if I didn't go through that situation, because I've learned to not focus on the negative, not focus on the bad, but just keep my focus on God and trust that he's going to get me through any situation, because you're going to go through trials, you're going to go through tribulations, but the ones that stay focused on him, the ones that have a positive mindset during those trials and tribulations, the ones who continue to speak life in everything that they're doing, are the ones that he's going to see through, and the ones that he's going to help throughout this, whatever you're going through. No matter what it is, we still got to trust God and believe in him. So, I'm just a living testimony of what God can do in your life if you submit your life and you give your life to Christ. So that's why everything that I do, I always try to teach people that, and just bring people to God's kingdom, because you want sustainability. You see a lot of people out here that have businesses, and yeah, it may look like they're getting money, it may look like they're really successful, but are they even happy? And for me, success is not about money. Success is about the evolution of my mindset. If I think differently than how I thought 5 years ago, then I'm successful. And I just pray that God continues to evolve my mindset each and every day, each and every year, because I always want to be a better person in everything that I do. So even in coming out of this pandemic, out of this situation, we want to pray to be better people in everything that we do. So that's what I want to just encourage you guys, on this Zoom session, that we just got to pray. We just got to submit to him. And it's my duty as a Christian, using my platform, because this is marketplace ministry, that you cannot live this life without keeping him first, because I did it. I tried it. And my life did not work out according to how I wanted it to when I was trying to do it the Monique way. Things started to shift when I decided to give God a try and let him be the leader of my life, and let the Holy Spirit lead me and guide me in everything that I'm doing. And I'm not trying to be too religious or whatever you want to call it, but it's my truth. And so I have to share with you guys my truth, because it's my testimony. It's my story. I have seen what God has done in my life. And if he's done it for me, I'm not his favorite. He favors all of us. He can definitely do some tremendous things in your life as well if you submit to him. So I don't know. That's my story.
Thank you, Monique. And that's definitely an important story. Just, and that's what I talk about on my personal page. The Holy Spirit is your guide, so if the Holy Spirit is inside of you and he dwells within you, he's going to give you ideas and strategies for your business. And even when I got this idea, before we get into Monique's question and answer, I was just saying, is this really me or is this really God? Just because I want to make sure that I'm clearly doing something in his vision and not my own. And of course, Monique, you came up first, like, I'm going to ask her, but, we have that alignment as a Christian business women. We have to trust him and know that he's going to give you strategies. He's given me ideas, even with, mental health and stuff like that I want to fulfill, or I want to bring to vision. So you have to make sure I can't speak to everyone else, but I have to make sure I'm in tune. And I hope, if you're not a Christian, or you're, maybe on the far left, or a little bit offended by us even using God or Holy Spirit, that you just open up your heart, just open up to receive. And I do pray that your heart gets softened towards him. But I love that. I love that she's a Christian. I love, that story. It just basically, like Monique said, put him first, which is clear as day. He will guide and direct you, because he's done amazing things for Bio Organics. and not to put comparison, but if we want to just look at the lineup, he has done amazing things within that business that cannot be explained. And like I said, if you guys follow or do research, you can look at history, but My Organics has done amazing things, like I said, not to do comparison, that cannot be explained. That's supernatural. That cannot be explained. Like, man cannot produce, what I'm saying, what they have done and what their character is and their customer service. And I know they deal with unhappy customers because people are just unhappy people sometimes, but they just are thriving. And I think that's why people love that brand. Oh, go ahead.
No, sorry. I was yelling at Mackenzie. She was calling my name.
Okay.
But I quickly just wanted to say hello to Deja in India. I love your backgrounds. I just saw that. I don't know how y'all did that, but I just want to say hi to you all.
Oh,
I was trying to see if I recognize any other names on here, but I just want to say hello to everyone.
Awesome. So guys, so now we have Q&A with Monique. And like I said, we want to be open, don't be scared, or nervous. So if you guys want to raise your hand, and that way, if you have a question that you've been burning to ask or something you want to find out, because I know that when Monique started, and she can correct me if she needs to, that, she did reach out to other CEOs for help, if I'm not mistaken. And, some weren't forthcoming with helping. And like I said, and sometimes people can take that as a rejection, or because no one likes rejection. Because I told my friend, I was like, I don't like rejection. And he's like, no one likes rejection. So I'm just assuming that no one likes rejection. So maybe that could be our first question while somebody raises their hand to ask another one, or I can check the chat. Monique, how do you deal with rejection in this business? Because sometimes doors get closed on you, or sometimes somebody that you look up to might not, respond, or might not give information openly, or might, just not be helpful. So how do you deal with that as a first question? But guys, if you have questions that you're burning to ask, or you need to know about growing your business or influencer, I would definitely suggest to take advantage of this. But Monique, that's going to be my first question.
Yeah. So, I mean, now, and this may sound crazy, but I'm totally fine with it. Because I feel that what God has for you is for you, and no man on this earth can prevent that from happening. I didn't used to be like that. When I first started my company, I did get rejected, and I thought that it was a sign that this is not something that I should be doing. I remember sending my first product, one of my first products. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was when I had the co-wash. It was when I was putting labels on my product by hand myself. And I was trying to get influencers. I wanted to collab and work with influencers. So I remember sending my product to a very well-known influencer that I used to watch her YouTube videos. I loved her. I looked up to her. And I sent my products to her, and she sent it back. She sent it back and didn't tell me why. And all she said was, I cannot review your product on my channel. And I literally, my feelings were hurt. My feelings were hurt. I wanted to cry, because I'm like, okay, this is not something, I'm not supposed to be doing this. This is not for me. But what I had to learn is that, everybody is not going to be for you, and that's totally fine. Everybody's not going to like you, and that's totally fine. I'm going to go with the people that do like me and the percentage that do. And if I have a more percentage of people that are for me than are against me, I'm gonna go with the percentage that's for me and not worry about the ones that's against me. And I feel that man's rejection is God's protection. So while it is okay to feel some sort of way when you get rejected, I think that's totally normal. You're gonna feel like did they tell me no? And that's fine. But the thing is, you got to keep moving, and you can't stay and dwell on the fact that somebody rejected you and somebody didn't like you. Because my mindset, and this is what I tell my daughters, and even when they start dating, I tell them this as well. If somebody don't like you, or if a guy rejects you, that is their loss. So if you don't want to be around me or surrounded by me, that's your loss, because I know my value. I know who I am, and I'm confident in who I am. And if nobody can accept that or want to be around that, then who cares? Like, I really don't care. I'm going to go around people where I'm accepted. So it took a while to get there. But I mean, my attitude is really like, and people say this, I don't know if it's a bad or a good trait to have, but I'm pretty nonchalant. Like, I'm like, I really don't care. Like, I really don't care if you like me or not, because I'm going to be myself. And I feel that I'm not going to be fake. I'm not going to be phony. If you have to appreciate me for being authentically who I am. So you're going to get a lot of no's. That's a part of life. You have to know that that's just a part of life, and you have to be able to deal with rejection. All the successful people that you see out here on this planet that you may admire, that you may look up to, they have all been told no. But do you think that stopped them from being successful? No, they had to figure out another way. And if you want something so bad, you have to make whatever you're offering so good that people have to refuse to tell you no. So when she told me no, I went back and I evaluated, after my feelings was hurt, I went back and evaluated myself and my packaging and said, okay, what can I do better? Because the next time I send this out to an influencer, they're not going to be able to tell me no. They're going to want to work with my brand. So I did it. I made it my duty to build my brand and to work so hard that people are now going to be coming after me, wanting to work with me. So I say focus on what I did and what I did best, and that was building my brand. So now that same influencer, and that she shall remain nameless, wanted to work with my brand a few years later. So to my point, you can't get offended by people saying no. You go back and you put your hard work and your effort into building something so great that people want to be a part of it. And that's why I channeled that frustration and that being upset. I channeled that into building and going even harder, because I'm going to do something so great that you ain't going to be able to tell me no. So, that's how I deal with it.
Wow. Well, I have a ways to go with that, but I'm definitely talking through it when that happens, because it happens, and it's going to happen a lot as a business owner and also as an influencer. So Monique, we just want to know, did you work with that influencer that rejected? Yes? Okay, that's awesome.
You know why? Because I'm not going to block my blessings just because somebody did something wrong to me. So, and you have to learn how to do that. So just because someone did you wrong, you have to forgive them and you have to move on from it. And as long as it's a reciprocal relationship, hey, I'll still work with you. Because at the end of the day, I take my emotions out of it. It's not about, you hurt my feelings, 3-4 years ago. It's not about that. It's about, okay, you have a good following, you have good exposure. Yeah, we'll work together, but I will never forget, but that I won't hold it against you.
That's awesome. And that's why it's so important, guys, especially influencers and brands on here, to make sure that, whoever you're speaking to, I know sometimes we can get overwhelmed, that you are making a good first impression. Because, you like Monique said, you can definitely forgive and forget, and that's part of healing and being a Christian, because you're supposed to do that, forgive. But you will remember that. So make sure you're, just trying to be as professional, not short, as possible. So I have a question from Nature's Little Secret. So I don't know if she wants to hop on and ask Monique a question.
Yes. Hi, Monique.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, first of all, I love you so much. I have everything you just said, I pretty much already knew, because I've done so much research on you. I'm an up and coming natural hair care brand as well. And my question is, so I finally stopped being cheap and investing more into my business, especially, the marketing aspect. Is there a certain percentage that you do, like, okay, your sales for the year? Is there a certain percentage that you do towards your marketing? I'm trying to figure out how much should I really spend on marketing.
Ideally, it's about 10%. Wait,
okay.
Let me think. Am I telling you the right one? No, I'm sorry. That's not. I'm thinking of payroll. Never mind. It's about 2 to 3. It's about 2 to 3% of your revenue.
Okay. Of the revenue for the whole year.
Correct. But
okay.
I just learned that about 2-3 years ago. So
okay.
if you ask me, when I first started, I put all of my money into marketing, because you got to get yourself out there. You got to get your brand out there. So it was mistakes that I've learned from. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was my business and I believed in it. So I literally took everything and spent a lot. It was way more than 2 to 3%. It was probably close to 10, but it paid off. And the thing is, I wouldn't change anything. I would do it all over again because I had to learn that. Like, I didn't know coming in that, you know, my marketing budget should only be about 2-3% of my annual revenue. I had to learn that, and you got to go through things. Experience is the best teacher.
Oh my gosh.
I don't regret anything that I've done to build this company because I've built a great company, and all the things that I did, all the mistakes that I've made paid off for my yield to be where it's at today. So it wasn't always that percentage, but ideally, now that I know better and now that I can get back and tell somebody else, it's usually 2-3% of your annual revenue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that question. I hope everyone's taking notes. And okay, so we have another question. I can't pronounce your first name, but I know you're with the international blog, Kurt Sandra, if you want to pronounce it for us again.
Cassandra.
Cassandra, okay.
Cassandra, okay.
I wanted to ask the question about like, how did you put yourself out there, and how do you like overcome the fear of, you know, like, I mean, is it like not having I don't know if you want to say not having too much expectation, but how do you overcome that fear of like, you know, like what if this doesn't happen like I'm expecting it? Like, how do you get there and put yourself out there?
Well, number one, take your expectations off of whatever you're expecting. Like, just go into things with, you know, little to no expectations, because you got to put yourself out there to see what works. And what works. You keep doing that. And what doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you don't do it again. But in order to figure out what that is, you got to put yourself out there. And it's funny because I tell my daughter the same thing. She's building her page, she's building her YouTube. And one day she got a little, not upset, but she was just like a little down because something that she posted, some content, it didn't get as many likes or views as like the other stuff that she posted. And so she came to me and I was like, don't worry about that. Like, you're not gonna know. You gotta put stuff out there. You're not gonna know what your audience likes unless you put yourself out there, and you can't be afraid to do it. And as long as you're doing things with good intentions and you're being authentic in everything that you're doing, that's all that matters. Because again, your audience is gonna come to you. They're gonna gravitate to who you authentically are. So as long as you're operating in that authenticity, like, you're gonna build your audience and they're gonna like you based on, you know, the content that you're putting out there. And for me, you know, I'm also a somewhat introverted person. I used to be way worse than I am now. So like, going to networking events and talking, just randomly talking to people was something that I had to learn to get over. And it was me getting in the way of my own self. So again, you have to learn that what you're doing, what you're building, number one, is not about you. It's not about me, because God is definitely using me. Because if it was about me, I would not be speaking to people and encouraging people as much as I do, because I would be like, well, what if people think some sort of way if I keep talking about God, like they're going to get offended, or, you know, some people, I may lose customers because I'm talking about God. That's me thinking about me and not thinking about who I'm serving, and thinking about, you know, God is using me in this platform to reach more people, to bring people closer to him. So once I learned to take myself out of the equation and to know that I'm doing this to serve others, and who likes it, and who don't, they just don't. And again, I really don't care, because I know that I'm doing everything that I'm doing is with good intentions, and I know that I'm doing it for a higher purpose. And so you got to number one, take yourself out of the equation, because sometimes we're striving for perfection, and perfection leads to procrastination, and you're never going to get it done. So you're going to do that video, you're going to try to upload that video and put it on IGTV, and then you're going to analyze it, you're going to criticize yourself, and you're going to say, I don't like how I said this word, or it was something in my teeth, I'm not going to post this video. But the message that you said, somebody needs to hear that message. So again, now you're thinking about yourself, you're thinking about self, and not thinking about who you're trying to serve. Because who you're trying to serve, they need to hear that message. So once you get out of your own way and you just put that content out there, you don't know how many people you're going to bless just by getting out of your own way. So I had to learn and change my mindset and think that way and know that it's not about me. And when I put content out there, it's going to get to who it's going to get to. It's going to bless who it's going to bless. And who don't, the people who don't like it, then it's just not for them. And it's a button at the top of my profile that you can click unfollow if you don't like it. So, you know, it's just as simple as that. And again, you just got to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid, and always operate with good intentions. And as long as you're doing that, God will take care of you. God will send increase. He will send overflow, because that's exactly what I've been doing. Like, public speaking was something that I was really afraid of. I hated public speaking. When I first started this company, I wanted to be behind the scenes. I didn't want to go on panels. I didn't want to speak in public, but people needed to hear my story. My testimony has blessed so many people, and I had to be obedient and get out of my own way and know that this is not about me. Nobody cares if you say too many times, as long as they get the message and they understand and it blesses them. That's all that matters. But I would really criticize myself. So it's just not about us. So that once you learn that and you have that mindset, you'll be fine. I hope that answered your question. I know that was long-winded.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And then, you know, one thing to add to that, comparison can definitely be your enemy. So focus in your lane and be you. You know, like Monique was saying, and just do it, because we can procrastinate when we compare. Yeah. Okay. So I have a question from Shani Tene. I hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yes, that is correct, Shani. I'm actually one of the speakers next, but Monique, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being obedient to God and following your true calling, because you have truly impacted so many lives, myself included. This is actually a twist out using the pomegranate honey twisted.
Oh, cute.
And I've had the biggest struggle with my natural hair care journey, and so your products have really helped me. I don't know why I'm getting emotional, but they've really helped me during the journey, and it's just been great. So thank you for just continuing to follow your passion and doing what God's called you to do. But I actually have a legit question.
I appreciate you.
I had a legit question. So I am a marketing coach, and I teach branding and marketing and how to build your business. So your testimony of learning how to do all that yourself is amazing in itself. But as I'm sure a lot of the other women on here, they are probably in their beginner stages. And so I think a great question might be, when you're going through your DMs, what are you looking for? Like, if someone's reaching out to you, what's going to put them at the top of your mind at that time, considering you are going through all of those people? What's something that people should be DMing people of high influence like you for it to be actually effective?
So that's the thing with DMs. It's really nothing that I really try to answer, you know, because you have the ones that come in I forgot what it's called. I don't know where my phone is at. But you have the ones that have to request and you have to accept it. And then you have the ones that already come through because you've had some type of communication or interaction. So the ones that I've had communication and interaction with, I try to really respond to like everyone as much as I can. Because Instagram doesn't allow me to like see a certain subject or to see, like I have to open it in order to read it. So I really just go through as much as I can to try to respond. The private section, I don't get a chance to do it as often as I would like to, because I'm so busy with like this section, and especially like now with meetings all day, homeschooling, I don't have a lot of time to be on Instagram during the daytime. So I try to like take a break and use that time to respond. And sometimes I'll do it at nighttime. But so for me, there's no specific like thing or way that you should talk to me in my DM. Stories, I would say, is a good way to get people to so you can be in that other column, because if you've had an interaction with that person, it's easier for you to get to them because Instagram shows that you've had an interaction, so you don't go into that request space again. So posting stories is one good way to grab somebody, I guess, of influence, their attention, because people, they like to repost their stories, especially if you're posting their products. So I would say that that's one thing. But for me, I really try to respond to like everyone as much as I can.
Gotcha. Thank you for answering that, because I know some influencers only respond to certain types, but it's great that you are replying to all of them.
No, and I've heard that, but I don't like, yeah, so I can't answer that question because I really don't know. I don't know what's their logic behind that. Sorry.
That's totally fine. It's a great answer.
Okay, Monique, I know it's 6 p.m. and I want to, honor your time. I have 2 more questions. I don't know if you wanted to stay on and answer those.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have one from Ashley. She's with the Trends Galore. So if Ashley, she wants to come on and ask that. I know it's something about mentorship. So Ashley, you can come on. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Monique. How you doing? I'm actually one of the businesses that's on for tomorrow, but just listening to your story, I was wondering, do you you mentor other people, or I'm actually a clothing boutique and I just kind of started, this is my 2nd year. So I was wondering, it's very hard to get help like you were saying. So is there, like, you think I maybe should try to reach out to, I guess, other business boutique owners, like, for mentorship? Because I would love to, like, get more information on, like, the business side, which I feel like I'm lacking in, but it's very hard because people don't even respond, especially with clothes. For some reason, I feel like with clothes, like, people don't want to share their vendors, they don't want to talk, and we are all on 2 different paths, So I was just wondering, like, is it do you think that I should probably go strictly to maybe a clothing boutique, since that's the area that I actually have my business in? Or do you offer other mentors, or what do you think about that, Shani?
Yeah, so as far as, like, finding a mentor in your business, like, you don't necessarily have to find a mentor in the boutique business. I mean, it would be great if you could.
Right.
Because you really, with your boutique, the most important thing is really marketing. Like, you really got to market your brand. I think finding, like, the clothes and the vendors, I won't say that's the easy part, but it's a little bit more simpler than, really trying to build the brand. That's the business side of it, is where you need help. And someone that has business experience should be able to help you with that. You also talked about, like, it's hard to find mentors because people don't want to help, which is true. Because, and that's the thing with us as Blacks, that we really have to stop, because we have been conditioned and trained to operate from a mindset of lack and not abundance. And we have to shift our thinking. We have to shift the narrative and operate from a mindset of abundance, and know that there is room for everyone. There is room for all. There are 1 million nail shops, and they all are making money. There are 1 million beauty supply stores, and they all are making money. So that part I don't understand. I have mentored people that are in the same industry as me, because at the end of the day, I'm the secret sauce. I can give you that, but nobody can duplicate me and what I do, and vice versa. So it's nothing wrong with mentoring someone else that's in the same industry as you. Like, we have to get out of that mindset. So when you're looking for a mentor, and I would say the way that I found my mentors is by networking. I actually had one of my mentors on my live last night, and I met her through a beauty supply store that we were selling to, that introduced me to her. And I'm all about genuine relationships. I have never been the type of person to try to force any type of relationship. And I think that some people try to force relationships. And the person on the other end, on receiving end, they can be turned off by that. And I'm going to use myself for example. When people come to me for mentorship and they are forcing themselves, that is a huge turnoff for me. Right. And also when the person is all about themselves and they're not about reciprocity. You have to be able to, you can't just take. You have to be able to give. You can give me a cup of coffee, but at least I know that you're in the giving spirit, and not just let me sit down and try to just milk all this information and just take this information, then you don't hear from me again. So when you're looking for a mentor, you have to build a relationship. It has to be a reciprocal relationship. You may not be able to give them what they may be giving you, the same type of value, but at least you can offer something, you know,
Yeah.
send flowers, take them out for a cup of coffee, buy them lunch. But it just shows your initiative that you're not all about self. And I think that's what a lot of mentors look for. Because they're willing to pour into you, because you got to think about it. A mentor, they're going to donate their time. And people that own businesses are very busy. So you're asking them to donate their time. You're asking them to donate your resources, but you can't offer a cup of coffee. So I want you to think about that as well when you're searching for these mentors. How can I add value to your life as well, so this relationship can be a genuine relationship and not a relationship that I'm just taking everything from you? So that's number one. So the mentors that I have had to build a relationship with them, and I had to get to know them. And one of my mentors now that is another bit. I have 2 business mentors and 1 spiritual mentor. My second business mentor, I've known this person for at least 5 years, and they just became my mentor.
Okay.
And it took me a while to build that relationship, and I'm okay with that because great things take time. My spiritual mentor, I've known her for about a year before I asked her to be my mentor, because I never want people to think that I'm just taking from them and I just want you to pour into me and I don't do anything in return. So in exchange for her mentoring me, I have donated to her church. I have allowed her to be on my platform to pray. She's done prayer calls with me. So it's a relationship. So I want you to think about that when you get ready to approach mentors, is how can we build a relationship? And how do you build those relationships? You got to go out to networking events, and I'm a face-to-face person. I get a lot of DMs from people that want me to mentor them. And number one is very simple, open-ended questions. How do you start a business? Well, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start helping you at, because you also got to know exactly what you need from that person so you can get what you need as a business owner to be fed. So, you know, you have to be clear on what you need from that mentor in order to get information that's going to help you scale and grow your business. So now, as far as me, you asked me, do I do mentorships? I did have a 6-week mentorship one-on-one last year. And it was great. And I was able to really pour into some people. And that's where I met Monique. And the issue with the reason why I put it on pause is because Mayel is still growing. It's still a brand that's continuing to grow. And me taking time to do one-on-ones, while it was great, I can't do it for everyone. And I still have to focus on building my brand and still focus on being a mom and a wife. So it was taking away my time.
Oh yes,
that's why
I definitely understand.
Yeah, so that's why I put it on pause. So I went back and I reevaluated, and I said, okay, so what can I do to still help people? I still want to mentor people. So I still do mentor people via email. They may email me and I'll, you know, respond and give them some advice, but it's not me really pouring into them how I did my one-on-one sessions, because I just don't have the capacity right now. So I do the podcast, and that's my way of giving free information that people can take and apply to their business. And it's just free. You know, you can take that information, and it's great information from my own experience. And then I put together my secret sauce retreat that I'm doing this year, while I'm also bringing my resources as well to help pour into some of my mentees. And a lot of my mentees that I've mentored last year are coming to the retreat. So I'm just doing it in a different way, with still being able to do all the other things I'm doing at the same time. So that's my advice. But again, I'm still here to help. So you can always send me an email if you have a question. I'm still more than happy to answer whatever questions you have. But that one-on-one, I just don't have the capacity at this moment.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. And one way that
Thank
I
you.
do that with Monique is I would, you know, I already like the products and I've shipped her products to my cousins in Jamaica, but I always make sure if I'm like, you know, got her products or anything, I make sure I tag Monique in it. I tag Bio Organics. I've also recommended her stuff. Like, I'm in a Facebook group for naturals and they're just lost in there sometimes. So I'm just like, try these products, because sometimes they're just trying stuff that they bought from the store from a generic brand that has to go home. And also, can you mute your thing, Ashley? Okay. so I've also, you know, they're Lost in the Natural group on Facebook. So it's just like, I can easily say, try these, because I've already experienced the products and I've already known what they can do. And it's just a simple way to say, I'm going to redirect you to this, you know. And it's just also, even one thing I did on Mother's Day, just a quick tip, all these CEOs that I kind of have a relationship with, and I know they have children, some I had to kind of like look for if they have children, I went ahead and sent them a card, via Hallmark, you know, so they can go ahead and just know that I appreciate them. Happy Mother's Day. Because I don't have kids, I have a dog, but it's just thinking outside of the box, because sometimes, you know, whoever you're seeking to mentor you, you have to let them recognize you in some way. So tagging and showing up and commenting, I've done that a lot. Like, I was like on Instagram, I see Monique post something, I comment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and you know, that thinking outside of the box, because sometimes you don't have their address, and it's kind of weird if you don't have that close relationship to ask for an address. So look online, send a gift card and say, hey, I sent a gift card, hope you got it. So just thinking outside of the box. But I'm going to move on to the next question, just because I want to value.
I do have one more thing to say. To trans, I do have a friend that I can also refer you to that has a boutique that I wouldn't mind mentoring you as well. So I don't know how to work this chat privately, but Yonique, can you give her my information?
Yeah, I can do that. So just she has me on just send me an Instagram, Ashley, and that way I can get you connected and forwarded over. Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
No problem.
Okay, so I have a question. So two more. I have one from Misha, and then I think Bernard, I don't want to mess up the name because I'm bad with name. But Misha, I want you to go ahead with your question, and we have one more person, and then we're going to move on to the next session.
Okay.
Okay. So Misha, if you're on.
Uh-oh, somebody's showing their collection off. Okay, now, who is that? I don't know, it says iPhone.
Misha, we can't hear you. I don't know if she's on still.
Oh,
I'm muted. I'm so sorry. I was talking about the products. I'm just like blown away right now. Okay, so I read your articles on Forbes, and when I saw Yannick was doing this, I was like, oh my gosh. And for me, seeing a woman of diversity on Forbes, I never dreamed that I can do that. Yeah. But to me, that was equivalent to Obama being president. You know? And yes, I put it on the same level. So I wanted to know, one, how did you feel? And two, was that something that you ever envisioned saying, I can be on Forbes, being a woman of diversity? Was that something on your bucket list? Was that something that you ever imagined?
No, I never thought that. I never imagined that. And that's why I say, like, God has truly blessed me exceedingly beyond what I ever imagined. Even when I did my vision boards, Forbes was not on there, but God has showed up and showed out. So, I mean, it's, how do I feel? So I have learned to celebrate the moments. And I think that especially this time has really showed us that we have to stop and just, you know, celebrate ourselves. And I think for me, just being busy all the time and always being on the go, I really didn't have the chance to stop and smell the roses and stop and celebrate a win like a Forbes. It was like, okay, well, what's next? So because you get a taste of that Forbes, that notoriety, and it's like, okay, well, now I need to be on Inc. magazine, you know. So I have learned, I would encourage all of, you know, aspiring entrepreneurs on here that when you get a win, to stop and celebrate it. And one thing that I do say all the time, though, I always thank God first. So I may not stop and celebrate, but I do say thank you, God, for everything. You know, when we get our sales reports, when we get you know, increased distribution, I always say thank you, Jesus. So I do always thank God first, but I am learning to just celebrate it more. So that's what I would encourage you guys to just celebrate each and every one of your wins. And another thing that I'm doing is I haven't started yet, but one of my things that I'm planning to do while we're on quarantine is to print out all of these articles and to start creating my story and my narrative, you know, for my kids, for their kids' kids and their grandkids, so they can see what their great grandma did in, you know, in this century, and to know that because of me, that they have this legacy passed down to them because of what I did and because I decided to have faith and believe in myself. So that's what I'm working on doing as well, is to create something that my kids and generations to come will be able to see.
That's amazing. You're definitely a leader. And I just feel honored to even get to sit here and listen to you. So thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Listen, you don't have, listen, we all in this together. You know, I'm a regular person, so I'm just glad to be here. I'm happy that Yonique chose me to be a part of this. I'm just thankful. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the comment. I love your collection, girl. You got your stash.
Got my little stash going on.
Awesome. And quick question, I had to like comment, I had to convince Misha in college to go natural. I convinced Misha, my mom, my sister. So just so y'all know, I did convince a lot of people to go natural. And then I was just like, you know what? Here you go with the products, because some of these naturals are lost. So if you're an influencer or a business, get in the natural groups on Facebook and start educating people, because I'm telling you, a lot of them are lost. Yes. Okay, they be showing me stuff that has grease in it. I'm like, no, girl. They be showing me deep conditioners. I'm like, okay, you need to try this deep conditioner, this deep conditioner. You need to get on the train, okay? They're lost, guys, so please help them, because I'm trying and I cannot help everybody. That's lost in natural stickers.
If you guys are in those groups, tell them to tune into our lives on Monday. I'm sure they'll get a lot of education.
They don't know what to do. And my sister's the same way. They'd be like, okay, so like, how do I get curls? So like, how, you know, and it's nothing bad, but it's just like, we who have the information, who have the time to pour in and build your brand that way, pour into them, because my sister does not care about learning, but I have to pour into her and it gets exhausting. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm trying. But I have one last question. I hope I don't mess your name. Bernaviev?
It's Bernia.
Oh, Bernia. Oh.
Hi, Auntie Mo.
Okay.
My question is, what is one lesson you wish you knew before you started Maya?
That's a good question. And you know, I get that question all the time. One lesson that I wish that I knew. And I mean, there are a lot of, I don't even know where to start. But one thing that I wish that someone would have told me in the beginning is that you need to have a good legal system and accounting system in place. But I will say again, everything that I've been through, everything that I've learned and experienced, I would do it all over again, because it's only making me a better person. And it has only just made me grow in such a way being a CEO that I probably wouldn't have grown if I didn't go through screwed up people. Let me just put it that way. But when you are in business, your legal team and your accounting team, that is the foundation of the business. And if you don't have a good foundation, it can fall apart. And I had to get rid of the dead weight and the people that were not a part of building and maintaining this foundation, because they didn't have the experience. So I have learned that you really got to vet people out. You really got to check their references, and not just check their references, because anybody can say, oh, you know, I used to work for such and such. But okay, you used to work for them. Can I call somebody there and get a reference about you from them? And so if you can't do that, then 9 times out of 10, they're probably not going to do what they say that they're going to do. So in business, you're going to come across a lot of bad apples, I'm not going to call them bad apples, sour grapes. You're going to come across a lot of sour grapes in order to get to the good apples. That makes sense. And I wish someone would have told me that, because I went into business in the beginning trusting a lot of people and trusting that they said that they were going to help take me to the moon and back. And I believed them. And then once they came on, they didn't do any of that. They didn't know how to execute. They were terrible. But you got to go through that in order to learn, in order to grow. You got to go through people like that in order to get the right people on your team. So it was something that was a tough lesson of many tough lessons that I had to learn. I hired a lot of people and hired a lot of contract people that were on my team that were not for me and were just money hungry, and they saw dollar signs and they wanted to take advantage. And so I'm just sharing that with you guys, that people will try to take advantage of you. People will sell you a dream and they will take your money and you will be in the hole a lot of money because you believed in them. So always just double vet people out and make sure that people are actually who they say they are, and you can check references and check their credibility.
Thank you. Thank you guys for the questions for Monique. You know, we had a lot of great gems, you know, so I hope you guys took notes. I hope you guys take her advice, follow God, listen to God, and just let him guide you in whatever you want to do as far as a business or an influencer or whatever you feel inspired to do. So Monique is definitely welcome to stay on. You know, if she's on and you guys want to ask her questions privately, there is an option where you can you know, message her privately in the chat. And that's if she's on, because I know that her session's up, but we want to value her time for sure. So right now, as we go into the next session, I want to go ahead, Beauty from the Roots. I think, I don't know if she's on. Okay, it looks like something came up, but guys, Beauty from the Roots, she's one of the brands that was on the flyer. She has great natural hair care products and also great skincare products. So I definitely want to mention her. The next person I have is Kadii. Is she on the line? Kadii? I don't think she's on. Okay, Dean, are you on the line? And he's an influencer. I think he's on. If he can hear me. Dean?
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I was like, I know you're on. I'm just looking through it, but yeah.
Okay. Is my video on?
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, yeah.
Can I just say, I wanted to say bye, everyone. I'm about to go walk my dog. I don't want to leave without saying bye, though.
Okay. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Am I still on?
Oh yeah, we can see you and hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Jessie Dean. I am a natural hair influencer. As of right now, I just have an Instagram page as well as a Facebook fan page where I share various product reviews, DIYs, hair tips, and even talk about skincare from time to time as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so he's one of the influencers in our flyer. So our next speaker, I'm gonna introduce, she's a business coach and she's a marketing genius, Miss Shani Tene, if you wanna come on and
yeah, hello, marketing genius. I love that. Thank you so much. I am just so excited to be here again. My name is Shani Tene. Thanks, Monique, for putting this together. I'm just happy to be in such great company. Monique was awesome, and all the other speakers who spoke, great job, and looking forward to who's coming up next. But again, my name is Shani. I am a brand and business coach, and so I help entrepreneurs build profitable businesses online by teaching them how to systemize their marketing so they can build a business and life they love. And so I know a few people had some marketing questions, so I'm happy to go into those a little bit more in depth at the end of this, but I guess I'll go through and just share my story as well, and then we'll get into some Q&A. So like I said, I am a brand and business coach now, but it didn't always start out like that. I wasn't successful before. And so I'm actually just a Georgia girl. I grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta with my mom and my 3 sisters. And growing up, I had a pretty great life. I was like if you call it the it girl in high school, like captain cheerleader, starter football, boyfriend player, and 4.0, all that kind of stuff. And so I went through high school, got accepted to one of the top universities in the US, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, any Tar Heels, and anybody watching the MJ series, shout out to UNC. And so I got accepted to that amazing school. My life, again, was great going into this. I graduated, top honors, and I moved and flew to Los Angeles to live out my acting dream, and to go into Hollywood, and just thought I was going to kill it. I soonly realized that like that wasn't the life for me. I had a lot of situations where men were trying to take advantage of me and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a really eye-opening situation. And so I kind of switched gears a little bit, and I started doing television producing, which was amazing. And at that point, I started managing celebrity lives. So I was living that first class lifestyle, literally flying first class, getting invited to the Super Bowl, like all of that kind of stuff with A-list celebrities, partying it up, living it up. And then literally out of nowhere, I was laid off of my job. And so at that point, I fell into homelessness, and I was very young at that point in time. And so I had no money saved up. I had racked up over probably like $30,000 in debt, not to mention like the $50,000 I had in like student loans. I maxed out like 5 credit cards. I didn't have money to really buy stuff, so I just ate like fast food. So I gained over 30 pounds, which was a lot for me. It's seen as I was a athlete. And so I was declared like obese at that time, and I was like at risk of serious health issues. And I was just like at the lowest point of my life, because I was couch surfing. So I would hop from one person's couch to the next person's couch. And if you've ever been to LA or you've ever lived there, like it's super expensive. And so I was just drowning the longer I was there, drowning. But I knew that like I had more to my life, and I just couldn't put my finger on it, because it's like, how can someone who grew up so well, had like the A+ life, who had the dream job before, how could they fall this low? You have a college degree from one of the top institutions. Like, how can you be couch surfing on someone's couch? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. And so I had a medical background. I went to school to be a doctor. And so I had a medical background, great degree. And I just, again, kept slipping into the darkness, fell into like a deep state of depression. And it was just a rocky time for me. And so I really just like had to take a step back. And so, like, as Monique said, like, I had to find that light, had to find God who really like revealed to me what my true calling was. And so I always used to be the person who said like, oh, I'm spiritual this, I'm spiritual that. Like, I go to church on Sunday, but like, I really wasn't that girl until this moment when I looked myself in the mirror and I could not believe the person that was there. And I was just disgusted and mortified and embarrassed, like being on food stamps and sleeping on the floor and all that kind of stuff that I could just never imagine for my life. And so I really just sought God and had my first like real encounter where I was like, holy crap, like God's talking to me. I got baptized. I started going to church. And I really just started to get in the word. And then he just started to reveal to me that like there's purpose there's purpose in my pain, and that I needed to take what I had and make something of it, and that this wasn't the end for my life. And so what I started to do is I started to dig myself up. One of my favorite passages during that time was Matthew 6:33, and that is, seek first the kingdom of God above all else, the main part being above all else. Like, I was putting food and all these other things above God because I thought that I wouldn't be able to like get them. And so when you put him above all else, he will give you everything else you need. And that's exactly what the trajectory was for the rest of my life after that moment. So I got myself together and I started going to Starbucks every single day to use their free Wi-Fi, because obviously I couldn't afford Wi-Fi. And so I would go to Starbucks. I literally remember this like it was yesterday. I would order the passion fruit tea. It was only $2 at the time, which was like so in my budget. So I would order that. I would drink it that one day and I would really just enjoy it. And then I would reuse the same cup every single day for the entire week because I couldn't afford to keep buying it. So I would like fill it up with water, and it would appear that I was kept buying stuff because you're not supposed to be in Starbucks unless you're actually buying their stuff. So I would literally get that cup, use it, reuse it for the whole week just to use their Wi-Fi. And like, I did this for like months. And so after months, I had probably applied to about 100 jobs by then. And I finally landed my dream job at a marketing and advertising agency, which was actually like a complete 180 from what I was doing, because I went to school to be a doctor. And then all this other stuff happened, but I was like, something was just drawing me to marketing and branding and business. And it wasn't me, because that wasn't even my background. So I knew that that vision could have only come from God, because I had no experience in marketing. I had no experience in any of that stuff. I knew doctor stuff. And so I got that job. I worked there for about 4 years. I managed marketing for Macy's, which was one of my biggest clients, GE, General Electric, Clinique, a beauty brand, Xbox, we all know that, Doritos, and so many big brands. Like, they hired me, someone who had never done this before, after I've got some experience, hired me to handle all of their marketing to help get them more sales in their business. And so that really validated what I was doing, because how can someone who had no experience in this now be hired by Macy's, like a brand that everyone knows, to manage their marketing and to get some of their brands off the ground. And so after years of doing that, out of nowhere, again, like just like that, I was laid off my job. The company that I was working for, they dissolved the entire company. So 100 plus employees, every single person that worked there got laid off. So at this point, I have been laid off 2 times. So this is the second time I had been laid off. And so at this point, I'm just fed up, because it's like, I know I have it in me. God's told me, he showed me, like, God, why do I keep getting laid off? And so for me, I feel like it was his way of showing me that you are not meant to work for someone else. You are meant to be the CEO. You need to go do your own thing. And he tried to show me one time. I didn't listen. That was the first job. And then he got me laid off again for a second time. And I was making great money. You can imagine working for Macy's, like money I could never imagine. And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to make that type of money working for myself, managing other people's marketing. But he showed me different. And so I went to go start building my business. It failed again. But he kept telling me, you need to just keep going. You need to find your sweet spot. You got to keep going. And so I kept researching and doing all of these things. And I had the marketing background. It was just like the systems weren't really in place to like help me execute that marketing background that I had. And so after like many years of trial and error, I finally found that sweet spot. And so that's when I officially launched Coachline, which is my consulting and marketing agency that I run now. And so I specifically created Coachline to help entrepreneurs like you, like yourselves and like me, who have a dream but might not have the marketing system or the marketing expertise or marketing background to get your vision off the ground. At the time, there wasn't a lot of people who looked like us in the marketing space trying to help people who are trying to also build their businesses. And in that transition phase, maybe they have a 9-to-5 that they hate and they're trying to get out of it. That was me. I didn't even like my 9-to-5. And so you got to be careful what you ask for. I didn't even like it. And God took it away from me because he knew that there was something else in store for me. And so I launched Coachline, and literally within 90 days of launching my marketing and coaching services, I created a 6-figure empire. I was making more than I was making at all of my jobs combined from all the years that I've ever had a job. And so I was like, whoa, like, how is this even possible? And so, so I was able to pay off all of my debt, all those credit cards. I literally physically chopped them up. And so I even had like extra money to spare after all of that. And so I took an entire month off and I traveled the world for an entire month. I went to Cambodia, China, Thailand, like all of these places. I went to all these different countries. I had only been out the country once in my entire life. And within a month time span, I had been to 5 different countries. And so that was literally all funded from my marketing business that God literally helped me build from the ground up. And so now it's just my mission to help other business owners do the same exact thing. Transition into building your own brand so you can create your own wealth, because at the end of the day, the ability to provide for yourself and for your family shouldn't be dependent on someone else. Like, I had to be nervous when I opened up my bank account to know if I could swipe my card or not. Like, and I had to depend on my 9-to-5 job to give me that security. And so I don't believe that that should be the case. And so you should be able to provide for yourself, create your own generational wealth with your own passion-filled projects. And so that's kind of where I landed. And so because the big thing is if you allow someone that power, if they take that security from you, like they took from me 2 times, then you'll be left with nothing. So we have to build our own brands. We have to build our own businesses. And then, like, when I really think about it, I realized the only reason that I really wanted to be a medical doctor, because that's what I went to school for, was because I wanted to help people. And I quickly realized that I didn't have to be a medical doctor to help people. And so as a marketing coach, I've been able to help thousands of entrepreneurs completely transform their lives. And that feels just as amazing. So I started to heal people through digital brand coaching. And eventually I ended up getting the name the Digital Brand Doctor, because that's what I did. I healed people through coaching. And so it's kind of just ironic, because it's like, whoa, I used to want to be a doctor, but now I'm just a doctor in a different sense. And so that has been my mission. That has been my purpose. God put that calling on my life. I'm literally, again, just a vessel for him, and just doing as he guides me. Like, I pray about everything that I do, and he just makes it come to fruition. Like, the things that I do, I don't even know, they're not possible because of me, but they're possible because of him. And so I just want to be able to have someone else be able to feel that same emotion by having their marketing in place, knowing the business systems, knowing the structure, so they can finally live life on their own terms, like I've now been able to do, which I wasn't able to do before. And so I guess that's kind of my story, and kind of how Coach Line came about, and how I'm here now. So that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you. She's awesome. So before I get into the question and answer, can you definitely put your information in the chat?
Yes, I will. This is at Shani, SHANITENE on IG. And you'll most likely be able to reach me there. Again, I will reply to all your DMs and all that kind of stuff. And if you need some marketing coaching or just some tips and tricks, I am live every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. on Instagram and Facebook. And so I'm spilling all the secret sauce for exactly how I was able to build my business and my marketing. And it can work for any business, whether you have a product or a service. The tips that I'm going to give you are going to help you build that platform for your business and get it seen. Because again, there's 1,000 people doing what you're doing, but we really have to find out how can you differentiate yourself from those other people. And so that's kind of a lot of the things that I discuss on that, on those live sessions. So feel free to join me 1 p.m. on Monday through Friday. It's called Entrepreneur Secrets.
Yes, guys, she's on live consistently, and she definitely gives great tips. I would definitely look at her Instagram for sure. I think what a lot of businesses kind of fail to do is, basically get help in the area that they're weak in and get an expert. She's an expert in her area. Monique is an expert in her area. So everyone's an expert in their own lane or in their own right. Or so it's like, if, she's worked with some bigger companies that she's kind of mentioned to you guys. And she's definitely now working with smaller companies and kind of helping them, that's the niche that she's going for. So I would definitely, guys, put any questions that you have as far as branding, as far as like colors, what questions do you guys have? I know that for me, the challenge has been, and I kind of started out, has been trying to figure out where should I put my focus, because there's Twitter, there's Snapchat, there's now that little thing that they do the dancing on. What?
TikTok.
Yeah, there's TikTok. there's TikTok, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's YouTube. All of those platforms, that you can effectively market ad. So it's like, how can they focus and kind of drill down? I guess that would be my question, to make sure that they're not being spread thinly. And this can be for influencers and businesses, because I know we do have, you know, businesses on here like Nature's Little Secret, and I can see them growing and, you know, building and getting stronger. And then, yeah, so what would you be your advice as far as that?
Yeah, so my advice is always to focus on one platform, really nail that, and then expand to the other platforms. And the platform that you choose to use should ultimately be which platform can you share your story and share your value on in the best way possible. For most people, that's Instagram, because it is visual, especially if people who have products, it's visual, and so you can also have that written portion. But ultimately, the main thing that the platform should help you do is provide value. I always say that you should tell, then sell. So tell your story, tell the value of your product, and then move into selling. So whichever platform is going to allow you to tell your story, tell value about your products, about your service, and then allow you to also sell, is the platform that you're going to want to master first, and then you can expand to other platforms. So the top two are typically between Facebook and Instagram. For beauty brands, I know there's a lot of beauty brands on here. I would first recommend looking into Instagram, just because, again, it is that visual feel, and a lot of other beauty people in that industry are on there as well. But honestly, even if you don't have a product or you don't have a service, or even if you're just getting started, the only thing that you really need to be focused on is providing value. A lot of people think that they just need to be putting up pricing for their products. But as you can see, when Monique is going live, when I'm going live, we are providing value. We're not just selling, hey, get this next hair product. Hey, work with me one-on-one. We are providing value, because 9 times out of 10, people buy into your story and your value rather than your actual product or service. And so if you are not providing value on whatever platform you decide to work with, that's ultimately the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter if you are on some totally different platform. As long as you're providing value, the people will come, okay? So the answer to that is whatever platform is going to help you provide the most value for your audience.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to put on mute while you're speaking, but thank you for that. Definitely providing value. And I've learned that from Gary Vee. You want to do like is it punch, then you do a hook? Basically, the punches are like educating, you saying, hey, look at this product, hey, look at that instead. And then the hook is when you come in to sell. So especially for the smaller brands, or even the influencers that pitching to brands like Monique's or other brands that, you know, are out there, you want to think about that. Like, what is the value that you're bringing to the table? And then you come in for the sale. Because it's like, if I don't see what value you can bring, like, I don't want to mess her name up. For Shani Tene, because sometimes I have to just think, because I don't want to mess her name up.
Shani. It's two separate words. It's two separate. Shani, Tane's my middle name. Shani's my first name.
Okay, I prefer Shani. Okay. So for Shani, like, before I started working with her, I definitely saw what she was doing on Instagram. She was consistently, and she was on time, because y'all know I'd be saying, I'm gonna go live at 7, and it'd be 8:30, and I'd be just like, okay, I'm rolled up, like, I'm live now, okay? Y'all gotta take it or leave it. So she's consistent, she's on time, and looking at her Instagram, she does bring value, and I see the free content that she's giving. So I'm like, well, if she's already giving this away for free, and I could just pay her to do this and that and get me in line, I'm going to do that, because she's bringing that value. And the same thing with Monique. She said multiple times, like, to build her audience, she had to go ahead and provide the value. She had to show tutorials, because like I was telling you, some of these naturals are a little lost. Gotta pray for them. But some of them are not. But they're just a little lost, okay? But anyway, for the lost ones, she was providing the value. She was saying, hey, look at this hair product. Influencers, like, sometimes, it takes patience too. A lot of people, they just don't know. They do not know. So you, as an influencer or as a brand, you have to break it down into baby size steps. Okay, this is a tutorial. You pick up the shampoo, you wash your hair. You provide that value because they are starting from scratch, because natural was not in until 2010. It started getting in when I started watching the YouTube videos of everybody and their mama on YouTube showing me how to do stuff. Like, you have to think of it like that, guys, and provide that value. And then you have to punch with the value, and then you hook them with the sale. Because what a lot of people are doing, and even when you're approaching brands or approaching people like Monique or Shani or whoever, can Curl CEO, there's somebody I could name, Aloe Naturals CEO, I can't think of the name right now, but when you're approaching those people, like, it's, you know, it's a trend. And while I'm speaking, you guys can definitely post questions for Shani, because I want her to, you know, sell you guys on why she's so amazing. But the pattern, what I do, and I'm going to tell you my secret, you have to create a pattern with people so they can see you, to build a relationship. So before I ever ask anyone to do something for me, or to ask them a question about, hey, where can I get my labels done or printed, I make sure I bring the value of myself, and I show eagerness, I show initiative. Guys, Google is free. Books at the library are free. You have to borrow them. Use a library card. You have to show that you are bringing something to the table before you approach their table. So what that means is that I do my research. I figure out who they are. I show up on their lives. I show up in the comments. I show up on likes. I show up on events that are free that they might be a part of. I show up. And once I show up and I show myself, and I show myself as being someone that's always liking, following, commenting, someone that's always tagging their stuff, someone that's always showing free support, not because I want likes or followers from them. I do not even look at that. I do not want, I mean, I would love their followers, but that's not what I'm after. I'm not after their followers. I'm not after their followers to like me. That's not my initiative. My initiative is to be recognized by that person who I admire. I buy their products. I buy their conferences. I buy their whatever they're selling. Like, if they're doing a session that's $50 and everybody come on, and I buy that. I buy their resources. I buy their books. I buy whatever it is. So I set my table up, and then I approach them. Hey, Monique, like, this designer is charging me $3,000 for a website. What do you think? Monique says, that's too high. I've never paid that much. Here's another designer I would suggest. Okay? You see how that relationship goes? You create your table, your lane, and then go ahead and you approach it. Because what a lot of people do, brands or influencers, you guys are coming out there and you're willing to just ask questions, and you're willing to just say, can I work with you? Can I be an influencer for you? And it just, you're coming off as a taker, and you're not coming off as a giver, because you've never went on a live, you've never commented, which is like, key, hello, if you want me to recognize you, at least comment on my picture. You know, you've never liked anything. You've never been in the room where you've bought something from them. You can't show me, I can show you all of Monique's products. Some of them are in Jamaica, but I could go ahead and show you her new collection right now, because I bought it. Hello? I'm giving. I go above and beyond. I think outside of the box right now, and I'm gonna read the questions in a second for Shani, but right now, I had my person that was helping me get the apartment, and she was so nice. I'm gonna take the initiative, get her a gift card and flowers. If you don't have their address, send them an e-card via Hallmark. It's $5 a month. Like, this is what you have to do to think outside of the box to build relationships. So sometimes people, you know, even though I would say my statue is not, I would say high, you know, I'm not being less confident in myself, but it's just what it is. I have relationships that I've built on the back end that you guys would probably not believe me if I told you. So it's like, when I was doing this event, I've reached out to so many people that were interested, but some, the time didn't work, some, the date didn't work. But I did the work, and I did the research, and I didn't ask questions that I could Google. I asked questions that I know I wanted their mindset about. I wanted their information about. I wanted their resources about. I wanted their link about. So let me just stop with my soapbox. Okay, next thing. What areas or companies has she been? Okay, Brittany, you have a question. Do you want to come off mute and ask it? And then anyone that has more questions for Shani, can you please put it in the chat for me? But Brittany, do you want to come off mute and ask it?
Yeah. Any marketing questions? Hey, Brittany.
Okay. Hi. So my name is actually, I should turn my camera on. I look quarantine crazy, but it's okay.
It's okay. We all know how it
goes. So I have two questions because I'm also in I have a science background. So how did you keep from, I guess, returning to the safety net of let me just keep on the track and use my degree and go get a job and, be secure in that? And then my second question is, what areas or companies have you seen that could use more influencers or ambassadors, but most people don't think to apply for that?
Gotcha. Two great questions. I might need you to repeat the second one after I answer the first one, but I'll tackle the first one. So it was kind of just what I was raised to think, I had to get a professional job, and that I wanted to be the first doctor in my family. And so it was more self pressures that I was putting on myself, along with family and friend pressures. Shani, you're the top of your class. You have a 4.5 GPA, which is unheard of. You're bomb at science. Just move forward with it. But my heart wasn't in it. It was kind of everyone else telling me that's what I should do. And I loved because I was in pediatrics, and so I volunteered at the hospital and all that kind of stuff. But it was another part of me that was just tugging away at the entrepreneur side. Even if I was a doctor, I would still have to report to someone. I wanted the freedom and the flexibility to do what I want, when I want, how I want, whenever I wanted. And that's just the life that I wanted for myself, and the life that I want for my family and friends, to be able to build that generational wealth. So for me, to build that generational wealth in the life that I wanted, I had to step out and take that risk and go the entrepreneur journey. I had no idea what I was doing, but the thing that kept me grounded was God. I honestly wouldn't have been able to get to where I am without him. And so I just had to keep focused on my why. And so whatever your why is what's going to keep you grounded in your business. Whenever I get annoyed, it's being an entrepreneur, which most of you know isn't easy. And so every time I got to my low point, I would think about the time when I was sleeping on the floor. I would think about the time when I was drooling on someone's couch because I can't sleep on my own bed. I would look at the time when I was at Starbucks, basically doing pretending like I had money when I didn't. I will bring myself back to that time. And my why is that I never want anyone else to ever have to get to that low point, or myself to ever have to be there. And that's what kept me grounded and kept me going. So you have to really dig deep. And my true why was really, I never want my kids, I don't even have kids yet, but I don't want my kids and their kids to ever have to think about money as something that they need, and that the things that they need, they know that comes from God, and that money is not the basis of our lives. It's God's the basis. And for them to know that and to be able to live that life as well, needed to come from me building my own generational wealth. And so I just focused on my why, which is my legacy. And what legacy do I want to live? And so you got to figure out for yourself, what is your why? And whatever you think your why is, ask yourself again why, and then ask yourself again why. Ask yourself until you really get to the core of your why. So if you say whatever your why is, again, ask it again, and whatever that is will keep you grounded. So I hope that answers your first question. Yep.
Yeah, that definitely answered my question. Thank you. And my second question was, what areas or companies have you seen that could use more influencers or ambassadors that most people don't really think to tap into? Most people do hair and skin, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot of other companies who have a marketing budget that they just can't find people to represent them.
Yeah, it's kind of based on your interest. So think about what your interests are first. Are you asking as a business owner, as someone who is looking to get influencer positions?
Influencer positions.
Got it. Okay, so there are tons of free sites that you can actually sign up for. If you DM me, I'll send you some of them. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I will send them to you. There's tons of sites that you can sign up for that have all these different categories that are looking for influencers. And their whole purpose is to reach out to you. You don't even have to do the reaching out. They reach out to you, tell you what the opportunity is, and then you submit your Instagram or photo or whatever it might be to get, and they pay pay you to do it as well. So you can get paid. So if you're kind of looking for different places to get featured on, that would be a great resource. A lot of places they have a lot of like clothing on there, a lot of even businesses like businesses like marketing businesses are looking for ambassadors and stuff because they need people in their marketing, especially looking for diverse audiences to be in their marketing materials. So a lot of people don't think that business owners are even looking for that type of people, but they have to cast for their shoots. They have to cast for those commercials and all that stuff that they're shooting. So I would like step outside the box and check out some of those sites, because there's going to be a lot of industries on there that you probably didn't even know exist in that field. And so again, look more into like the business side of things versus like beauty and fashion. Those again are going to be those top ones. But again, like there's tons of other ones out there, and these sites have all of those on their list for you. So you don't even really have to do the research. All the research is there for you. Does that answer your question, Brittany? Oh, are you guys frozen? Hello?
We can hear you.
Oh, cool. Does that answer your question, Brittany? Oh, I think Brittany
might be frozen.
Brittany might be frozen. I was like, am I frozen?
Oh yeah, I think Brittany's frozen.
Oh, okay.
But I think it answered her question. She can go in the chat. So yeah, she might have to come back out and come back in. Sometimes Zoom is a little funny, but hopefully that's a good information.
Yeah, my internet.
Go ahead. I think she said something about her internet. Go ahead.
My internet like just disconnected. You talking, but thank you. I will DM you, and I appreciate you taking the time to give me advice.
Yeah, no problem. And another one that came to mind is a lot of like food places actually are looking for influencers. Like I get contacted a lot for food ones randomly, like it might be like nutrition bars or like smoothies, things like that. And even like the big brands that you know of, like McDonald's and like those kinds of things, they're always looking for influencers too. So maybe looking into like the food industry, which a lot of people don't think about when it comes to like influencer marketing. So that's another one that's probably outside of what you normally hear about.
Awesome, thank you. And then one thing.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For Shani, like if you're a company, because I know, like I said, I'm gonna send out the replay because I know people have to come in and out, and a couple people had some, personal issues that they couldn't come as far as the brands that are in this this group that we created that I'm working with on the flyer. So if you guys don't have that budget yet to kind of start marketing or hire, Shani in some capacity, she definitely has free resources on her Instagram. And then she also has, a link to other free stuff. I would definitely suggest to join her email list, because they just put free information in their email list. That's also a good way to market, using your email list to go ahead and put free content in to kind of help bring in your viewers or your customers. So I would definitely suggest, even if you're an influencer, a small brand, to look at her resources, look at her Instagram. I know she did go ahead and put it in the chat, and I'm saving the chat so that I can go ahead and repost this for you guys. So I would definitely suggest looking at her information and what she has to offer, so that you guys can kind of become more aware. Because what a lot of businesses do, or if you're an influencer and want to become, an influencer that makes money consistently from working with brands, is you try to do everything on your own. And you have to understand when you're to a certain point and look at the examples in Monique and, other CEOs and other business coaches, they all have some kind of team, a mini team in some way to help them. So it's like, you have to kind of think like that mindset, because honestly, you can't scale to a Mayella Organics level, or you can't scale to, what's another big influencer that I can think of? Can somebody tell me another big influencer that's like huge? Because I stopped watching YouTube.
There's tons of like other hair influencers, but if you're trying to get outside of the hair world, let's see, like Lily Pons. I don't know if you guys know who that. She's like one of those funny girls. but maybe not, maybe don't know. But yeah, I mean, I work with influencers a lot, but yeah, there's a lot out there.
Yeah, I'm looking for like a big name that I can think of.
Lovey.
Who?
Lovey.
Lovely?
Lovey Ajayi.
Okay. So
or like Rizoma. They're influencers in a different way, I guess you would, like.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, for like big influencers. And I was thinking about Hazel Goddess, but I don't think she has a team. But anyway, you get my point. My point is, like, if you want to scale to a certain level as far as like, bigger brand like Colgate, for example, that's just an example. Ford, there's not one person doing everything. And I think we as smaller business owners, I should say that, but we as business owners right now, because that's what we are, we're going to be big. And then we as big influencers right now, we try to do everything ourselves. And we have to just get into that mindset of we need help. We need a team. You can't do it all on your own. And that's where Shani kind of comes in, because she'll take that burden off. Because I'm like, take the burden, girl, take it, okay? She'll go ahead and take that burden off. Like that's why Monique has an assistant to manage her calendar, because she doesn't want to overbook herself. She pays someone to help manage her calendar and her other things. You know what I'm saying? She has her personal, email, but she does have her assistant that helps manage. Like she has a marketing team. So we as big brands or big influencers, speaking out in existence, we need to learn to delegate. And it is hard to let go of your baby because you don't know if someone's going to crash the baby or someone's going to cuddle it and kiss it. But you have to take that chance, because you can't be doing the products, you can't be doing the marketing, you can't be doing the labels, you can't be doing the shipping, you can't be doing, let me reach out to the mentorship, you can't be doing the networking, and then don't expect for you to be burnt out and then wonder why the business is not to the Mayel Organics level. So that's basically my soapbox. But so no one has any other questions for Shani, but like I said, guys.
I think Krishandra had one, and I had something else I wanted to add in, but I'll let you go first, Krishandra.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I like what you were saying about, delegating and things like that. So I wanted to ask, at what point do you think it's important to start delegating? Like at what, I guess, level, or what, are you waiting? Like, should you wait until you get to a certain point in your business or brand, or should you like start at the beginning to start, looking for like marketing things and all of that?
For marketing specifically, I would say start immediately, because a lot of times you're going to try to do things on your own, and you can do all of the Googling in the world, all of the YouTube videos in the world, but those videos are not going to be customized to you and your business. You have your own journey, you have your own story, you have your own unique product, and you're going to need someone who's there hand-holding you along the way, telling you what's going to work for you, not what's just going to work for the general population, because ultimately that's what those videos are telling you. So if you are serious about growing your business and you really want to scale, then you want to start as soon as you possibly can to get that marketing help. So you are able to get to the levels, and you don't have to go through that trial and error, because a lot of times new businesses feel like they can do it on their own. And if you hire that help up front, that whole trial and error situation won't have to happen. As you heard Monique talk about, she had to learn that on her own, and that added extra years to her success. But had she started earlier, if she could have, she would have started earlier and got that help that she needed. She could have avoided a lot of those bumps, abuses. And that goes for me too. I have the same situation. I thought I could do it on my own, and obviously that failed. I had 3 failed businesses because I thought I could do it on my own. And so it wasn't until I hired a mentor and a coach, similar to how Monique mentioned, when she got her spiritual coach, like I got my spiritual coach, when I got my mentor, like she got her mentor, that's when we both started to see growth in our business. And so why wait when you know you have 2 examples here of people who have start to see their progress when they got that mentorship. So, but I guess from a financial standpoint, obviously start when you're financially able, get all the free resources that you possibly can. You can join my Facebook group. It's called the Entrepreneurs Playground. I'll drop that in there. I also have a free masterclass. You can head to mycoachline.com/masterclass. It's totally free resource that's going to teach you how to make your brand pop is what I call it. So POP. So how you can get your positioning. So you're uniquely positioned to create value for your client. O, so you can create that opportunity. So you're consistently demonstrating leadership in your market. So opportunities come to you and you're not the one going to seek those opportunities. And then P for the pop is process. It's going to help you, give you a proven process, the exact process that I use, the exact process that my clients use to get results for their clients. And that specific process is called the radar effect. And so that masterclass, if you go to mycoachline.com/masterclass, you can learn all about that radar system and how it's going to show you how to take a complete stranger to a paying client to an advocate. And so how to get that person from cold to warm to hot is going to be that radar system. It's an acronym for reach, how you're going to reach them through organic and paid content. Awareness is the A, how you're going to make them aware of your services and your products. D, how you're going to get them to make that decision to work with you. A, how to get them to take action to actually purchase from you. And then R is going to be that retention. How do you get them to come back as repeat clients and then refer you, so then they are completing that radar for you and taking you back to the reach, because they're going to be helping you get that traffic. So it's a visual of a radar. And so the goal is to keep prospects on your radar. And if you have clients and prospects on your radar, you will never run out of clients. So that's going to be a great resource to learn about that radar effect. It's a coin that I termed, it's a term that I coined. And so it's going to be, I'll talk about it all in that free masterclass if you want to check that out.
Yes, thank you guys. I hope I didn't miss anyone's questions for Shani in the chat. I'm gonna close out her questions. If you didn't put it in prior, I'm guessing no one did. I'm just trying to like keep up with it. But if you didn't have it in, then it's closed for her, because like I said, I want to respect everyone's time. But she has a lot of free resources. Monique has her podcast. So guys, if you really want to get somewhere, and I know sometimes people have struggles and we have our ups and downs, but if you really want to get somewhere, you have to seek out the knowledge, seek out the people, the resources, and start following. There's so many different like classes I signed up for, and I'm still working through that just because I love knowledge and I love learning. And Monique has such great like lives, and so does Shani. And our next speaker that's coming up
I just want to say thank you before you transition over, but thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you, Monique, for putting this on, and I hope I brought some value to your lives, and looking forward to connecting with all of you guys. Again, shoot me a DM at Shani Tene, SHANITENE, and I'm happy to connect with you. So again, thank you so much.
No problem. So guys, like I was saying, she has a lot of free resources, lives, you know, lives are free on Instagram. So I try so much to tune into everything, but it's just hard. Like with everyone being quarantined, they're always going live and they always have great information, and you only have 24 hours to watch it. And I hope they put it on like IG Live, but anyway, you have 24 hours. And sometimes, honestly, I will put my phone down and I will record it because I have to do something else. You know what I'm saying? So I can go ahead and watch the live. So my point is saying is this: you guys have to be hungry to get what you want, success. And with all the speakers that I'm bringing to this table that I've experienced in some format, or worked with, or talked with, or seen what they can produce in some format, they had the knowledge, and I will not steer you guys wrong on where to find the knowledge. And even if you do not have the connections like I might have, or be close to them like I may be, like you can still get the free resources from the podcast, from the Instagram, from lives, because everybody and their mother is just going live. And it's just so hard for me to intake all that stuff. Thank God the library's closed, because I would be in there too, like just like picking up books. But anyway, there's so many free resources. There is some resources that you have to pay for, but you have to be hungry for your success, and you have to go after it. And we have our down days, but what is for you, like Monique says, and what is not is not. Everybody that's meant to hear what the speakers are saying are meant to hear it for a reason. And I just want you guys to execute. So I'm going to come off my soapbox, and I'm going to introduce Wealth by Nature, if she wants to come off mute and give her elevator speech to everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanika Gill. On Instagram, I am known as Wealth by Nature. I am also a product junkie. I have so many brands, all of their collections, the whole 9 yards. But I'm here today to talk to you guys about a company that I've teamed up with. They're called iamdestinees. They are a 30-year company, and they are focused on health and nutrition. And I found out about this company last year because I am a special education teacher. I've been teaching for 22 years. And what ended up happening was last year, and I work with children with varying disabilities. One ran away from me, and I was not able to catch him. I was 350 pounds, and I couldn't catch him. And so I started praying and praying to God because I didn't want nothing to happen to that baby, because they become like your family. They become your babies. And so I prayed to God, and I said, it's got to be something that you can help me with, because I've tried just about everything and nothing is working. And so one day, one of my friends called me, and she just started talking about all of this weight she lost and how she feels much better and she can sleep and she can this and that. So I said, well, what are you doing? And so she told me about the company. I reached out to the company because I had a lot of questions. And just to make a long story short, from last year into this year, I have lost 150 pounds. I am also a part of the team with the company. So I work with the company as well. I gained so much. I've gained a better night's sleep. I have so much energy. And I love all of these products. They are plant-based, and I feel amazing. I didn't have to do any exercising. And it turned my whole life around, because I was depressed. At being 350 pounds, I had no idea like how I got there, what was going to happen. I knew that eventually I probably would have had some health issues, but by praying and praying and praying and praying, God turned it around. So now what I do is I just help people. I'm all about helping people, getting their lives back together and being healthy. That's my thing, alongside with teaching my babies. So definitely I'll leave my stuff down in the chat if you want to contact me or anything to talk about, anything, weight loss, just health and nutrition, period, anything like that, health, hair products, because I know a lot about hair products, because like I said, I am a hair product junkie. So yeah, that's it. Just wanted to come on here and introduce myself and just, share a little bit about what I do.
Thank you. Definitely put your information in the chat, like I said, because I'm going to save it so that we can kind of send it as a quick reference. But guys, make sure you're taking notes. If you need to jot down any information that you're hearing, go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead before our speaker. I'm going to ask the owner of Pardo Naturals to come online.
Hey, what's up? Oh, look at me, y'all. Hi, girl got cute for y'all tonight. Y'all ain't ready. I put on a little lip gloss too and some earrings. Hey. All right, let me get it together, y'all. So y'all know I ain't got no bra on, so let me make sure this thing don't go below the neck. Y'all know how I do. My name is Rita Pardo. I'm the owner of Pardo Naturals. This year, hold on, that curl ain't right. This year we'll be celebrating 6 years in business. We started out selling skincare products because my oldest daughter had really, really bad eczema. She's 21. She'll be 21. Oh my Lord, she'll be 21 this year. She's disabled. Her eczema was so bad that she would bleed. Bleed. She'd wake up in the morning, sheets would be bloody, her pajamas would be bloody. She was in and out the hospital for skin infections. She was allergic to everything. So everything we tried would not help her with her eczema. So in 2014, I had to retire I was a special needs school bus driver for Gwinnett County for 10 years. I live in Georgia, by the way. And I had to retire from that job to stay home and take care of her because she just could no longer go to school. So she does what's called hospital homebound when the school comes to her. During that time, I also had 2 younger kids. I had a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time. They're now 7 and 8. So being able to stay home and take care of my children were also very important. But I was also without a job at this time. I've never been unemployed. So I said, well, let me just try and see if I could find something to try to help clear up her skin. I had a good friend who was an esthetician who said, you need to try some essential oils. So I started with essential oils and whipped up some shea butter with some coconut oil and olive oil, and I called it my Show Enough Good Stuff. That's what I called it. And I found I could also use it on her hair too. So a friend of mine came over and showed me how to braid. She said, you need to sell this stuff. I said, girl, I ain't finna sell this stuff. Ain't nobody want to buy this. I had no type of entrepreneur mindset at the moment. But it was Show Enough Good Stuff. She said, look, people gonna buy this Show Enough Good Stuff. And sure enough, they did. I started just giving out to samples. It was in little souffle cups that you get from Kroger's. You know them little bitty souffle cups that you got the little lid on top that you do the Jello shooters. I don't know nothing about no Jello shooters, but about it anyway. This all I'm saying. I would give it out to friends. I would mail it. It'd be a mess when they got it too, because it would mail. I ain't know nothing I was doing. But then they would just they would call me and say, look, girl, it melted all over the place, but it was sure enough nice. It was nice. And so I said, okay, well maybe I'm on something. Open up a website. The thing was ugly to death. Purple, my favorite color. Now, purple ain't got nothing to do with natural. It was purple and lime green. Put them 2 colors together, and you got a hot mess. You hear me? But I was selling them things, girl. You couldn't tell me I was the #1 selling shea butter woman out there. But I was making that skin shine. I was making it shine. So eventually, I hired a brand coach, and she said, look, let me tell you right now. She said, you got a good product, but you need to do something with them colors. That they don't look good. And the name of the business at that time was Naturally Me and You. That wasn't even aesthetically right. It should have been Naturally You and Me. That's what it should have been, but it was Naturally Me and You, and I was running with it. Girl, I was about to get a trademark, get the logo. I was about to get it, honey. You could tell me I wasn't God at that time trying to get that thing done. And so finally, another one of my friends called me. She said, are you tied to that logo? I'm like, no, not really. She said, well, I see how hard you're working. I want to gift you a logo. So then I found a logo man last year. Now I'm Pardo Naturals, and that logo fire. You hear me? I'm proud of that logo. I've got a trademark. Can't nobody steal it. They can try to come, but look, I'm back them up 50 feet. You think we quarantine now? I'm a quarantine back into last year. To make a long story short, I do like to talk, y'all. I'm sorry. Pardo Naturals is now a household name. Not only do I sell hair care products, I sell cleaning products, and I had a big hair care launch last year. When I tell you my community came and showed out, I was able to go on vacation after that hair care launch. I took my family on a vacation, y'all. You know, and we ain't been on vacation ever. Had a good time. So I'm getting ready to open up a new business. I'm gonna put it on the hush hush. I ain't gonna let nobody know what that is. Like a little new business. I already got the logo for that too, because I'm serious like that. But Pardo Naturals is just my baby, because my biggest why is not only my children but myself. Because if something happened to my children, God forbid, then where does my why go? So you have to have more than one why to keep your business sustainable. My why is also because I don't want to be sitting around broke, or if something happened, I got to borrow money from people. I want to be able to have a business that when I'm laying in the bed, I wake up the next morning and I see some zeros in the bank account. I'm like, okay, well, what? Oh, okay, I got a little something over here. I got a little something over there. I got a little cha-ching right here. All right, I can do a little Instacart right here. I can go get me some shoes from DSW. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know we like shoes. Don't even play. I can get me some new glasses from Zenny. I can do what I gotta do, get the $7 fine for the prescription. You know, do that thing. So yeah, I'm here to tell y'all I just love what I do. I love people. I am a workaholic. I'm a perfectionist, which is terrible. Try not to be those things if you can, which is one of my downfalls, because right now I kind of work by myself with this quarantine thing, because with my daughter being as sick as she is, no one can come into the house. And I tell y'all now, this is the last thing I want to say. There will be times when you feel like that you want to quit, okay? Whether you're an influencer, whether you're a business owner, whatever it is that you do, if you work for somebody, there'll be times where you just don't want to get up and do it. 2017 was the time I wanted to quit and just leave this earth. My husband got in a bad accident. He almost died. He lost his leg. So he is now disabled. While I was caring for my husband, he was in the hospital for almost 6 months. While I was caring for my husband, my mother died in Alabama. Now, remember, I had 2 small children at the time, and I had another, my oldest daughter is disabled. My youngest daughter also has autism. So I was doing all of that. But because of my transparency, and I told people, I'm like, look, y'all, this is what I need. This is what I'm going through. I don't have money for food. I don't have money to get my kids to school. Because school was getting ready to start. I was having to take flights back and forth to New Jersey. I've been on a plane before, but that's where my husband's accident was. I was having to leave my children with people that they were not used to being with and trusting God that he was going to take care of them. I had to walk out on faith. And when I got to that hospital, I didn't even recognize my husband. He was so swollen that I did not know who he was. But to be able to keep the business sustained, not lose my house, make sure my kids have food, I couldn't do it alone. Through prayer and me being transparent and talking to my community, becoming friends with them, they rallied around me. They paid my mortgage. They paid my car off. They made sure we had food, blew me all the way away. But it's only because I was obedient to what God told me to do. He said, just keep up doing, serve me, do what I told you to do. Stop worrying. I'm going to take care of you. If I feed the birds of the heaven, if they got something to eat every day, you think I'm going to let you starve? If I had a microphone, I'd drop it right now. I'd drop it right now. But yes, that's all I got to say now. So thank you, Yo-Shea, for letting me come on here and ramble a little bit. You know I'm a big talker girl. I can't never hardly shut up. I'm going to sign off now. Thank y'all. I love y'all. Love y'all all.
Thank you. She's amazing, guys. If anyone can push through things, she can definitely do it. Sometimes I'd be like, no, this is a fight, God. Like, I'm going to just have to sit down a little bit. But, you have to keep going because, unfortunately, when Monique was talking about rejection, that happens. And then, you might not feel like your family is supporting you in this, or like they don't understand entrepreneurship. They don't understand being an influencer. So you have to sometimes go this journey alone. And what I've tried to do, I definitely love her and I watch her story, and her husband, I think, has a t-shirt line. Guys, make sure you post your information on there. Rita, make sure you post it in the chat. But like, I see what she has accomplished, and I'm just like, I want that strength, because sometimes I can just like throw in the towel. I've done it a lot with my business. Like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm just not feeling this fight. You know what I'm saying? Like the 9 to 5 might just have to be with me because this is a fight. Okay, God. And he's just like, come on, like, pray over your business, work with intention. And he just keeps bringing people in my life to help, with the issues that I've been having. So be a fighter, and push through, and know that this can be a lonely journey sometimes. But if you can create a resource, and this is why I'm having this group, if you can look at everyone's name, everyone, you can post your @ just so everyone can have it. Even if you didn't speak, you can create a network that genuinely cares for your well-being and genuinely wants you to succeed. Do that, and that way we can have that support, because sometimes that's all you need. You need someone to say, hey girl, that looks good. Hey girl, sometimes it might look bad, but hey girl, it looks good. Lie to me, okay? Make me feel confident. Don't be telling me I need to change the colors. Lie to me and say it looks good and move on. Put a heart. Bye. That's all they need. They need a heart. They need a bye, because people, we are human nature. We need validation. Like, I need someone to support me. I need someone to show up when I do things, right? You guys need that too. So build that network, show them you are interested in them, and they will be interested in you. Like, reach out to them. Hey, I'm putting this stuff on. Like, I reached out to Monique, and I didn't know how her schedule was, and I had to kind of like work around it a little bit, because I was like, I want her there. So it's like, you have to reach out to people, and they might say no, they might say yes. A lot of people were saying yes, and I was a little surprised. So, but I had to cut it down. I was like, sorry guys, you guys have way too many assistants, and your assistant wants me to change things, and your assistant wants this time, and pause. But anyway, reach out. You never know. Reach out. I reach out to a lot of people, and I was surprised with that, but I just need to be more not surprised. Anyway, let's get into our last speaker of the night. You guys know we do have a session tomorrow. The details are in Eventbrite, you know. If you guys see the details, I know sometimes people don't like to read stuff, but it's okay. Our next speaker, she has an event coming up. I think she rescheduled it for October or November, but we don't, you know, we're going to see how it goes because the Corona messed up the first one, or the Rona. But she has a great network. Like I said, everybody I'm bringing in front of you, I'm bringing in front of you for a reason. I like to give free information. Okay, but she is the owner or founder of I Can Collectives. She was a nurse. She has great resources. She can give great insight, help, advice. I don't know how her schedule is, guys, so don't be just bombarding these people and just telling them that I sent you. I sent you, but I sent you to get the free information, not to DM them all. Okay, and sometimes a lot of them, they don't give you their real email. They give you the email for the assistant. So I don't have anyone's email, okay? Because I know some people, honestly, they don't have their email on their Instagram. But anyway, guys, I'm sending you, do what you will with the information. She is the founder of I Can Collectives. Like I said, she's a great resource. She's a great connect to have. She posted her page in the chat. I would definitely suggest seeking out, doing your research, you know, be diligent in connecting, be sincere, and be a giver and not a taker first. So Miss, I don't want to mess up your name, Afenya?
Yeah.
That's how you say it?
Yep, you got it.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, now I can say it with more confidence. Afenya. So she is the owner of, like I said, founder of I Can Collectives. I would definitely check her out. She posts her information, great resources. She's friendly, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not going to turn you away. She's very friendly. So definitely, she's going to go ahead and speak to us about her journey, and then we're going to go ahead and do question and answer with her after she's finished.
Yeah, and this is real relaxed and chill. So, you know, interrupt, talk, you know, let's just vibe. As she said, I'm the founder of the I Can Collective, and that's the Innovation, Collaboration, Accountability Network. And it's all about bringing women entrepreneurs together. Like Monique was saying, you know, a lot of us have the issue with maybe our family members not understanding our journey, maybe not having that circle of entrepreneurs around us. So my goal was always to create that for people who are looking to build their businesses and not having the resources or knowledge and know-how in going into doing that. So like Monique mentioned, I am a nurse by background. So I started, my first career was actually in marketing, and I got a bachelor's degree in marketing. The goal was to be a fashion stylist. Back in the day, I wanted to dress the stars, dress like Beyonce, and you know, style famous people. Move to New York. I'm from Chicago. Move to New York and do that. Of course, you have plans. Life has other plans for you. I went into kind of like the business side of fashion and into that merchandising and buying and management part of retail and fashion industry. I did that for a while, got into like working in HR and doing work like with the staffing agency and providing employees for different companies, and was really, you know, thought I had, you know, the job that I loved, and, you know, this is what I want to do. And then that market crash of 2008 happened. And at that time I was, I had like, that was the year we bought our house. I had gotten married, and then like I was having a baby and I was due in February. I lost that job in October, right? And so I was thinking, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Now, my mom is a nurse and my dad is a nurse as well. And that was a second career for him. My mom always told me that I should be a nurse. And I was always like, I don't want to do that. Like, you know, you watch the, first off, if you're like me and you're a bit of a rebel, you just don't want to do what your parents tell you to do. And then, at least at that time, right? And then there was the fact that like, when you watch television and you hear the horror stories, it was like, nurses eat their young, and doctors, they yell at you and all this stuff. And I'm like, at that time, it was like, I need to have my hair done. I need to have my nails done. I'm not wearing a uniform. Like, and so I didn't like understand all of the different avenues and ways that, nursing could work into my life. But then, when this happened and I was looking at like going into different industries, and like Monique talked about earlier, I was here for that too. And some of Shani's as well. We talked a little bit about, rejection and things like that. So the one thing about the like celeb lifestyle that I didn't like at that time, I also, in the past, I had like a blog, and this was a while back. So this was before blogging was a big thing. And that's why I mentioned, I don't know if you guys know Lovey. That's why I kind of mentioned her. I knew her, went to school with Lovey, and like she was blogging back then. Like blogging was like new, that was the thing, and influencers didn't really exist. Like it was the beginning of that era. So like I was heavy into that, getting a lot of like features and like, talking to people. Like this was like before Drake and Nicki Minaj and all that were who they are now. Those were the types of people I was contacting and all of that. Now the funny thing about that world is like, when you want something because it seems like it's so great, then when you start to get into that world, it's like, okay, is this like connecting for me? And so as I had gotten older, and like I said, I was looking for something that has more compassion, more like I wanted to help people and have an impact. And I was going to have this little girl, and it was like, what do I really want to do with the rest of my life? And that's when I started listening a little bit more to what my mom was saying. And then she started introducing me to people in the nursing industry that were doing things that were outside of the box. So initially I wanted to go into dermatology and learn how to do skin treatments. And so shout out to all the people who are here who have skincare companies, and like that part was still something that I was interested in, like the like skincare, doing fillers, doing that type of thing. But then when I went into nursing school, I started off as a CNA. So I actually, I had my bachelor's degree, but then I went and took a CNA program. So I was 8 months pregnant in a CNA program, doing all that. Then I went to school. My school for nursing was about an hour and a half from where I live. So I had to, do clinicals, do those 12-hour shifts and all of that. Was entering nursing school when my little one was born. And so like there was a lot of purpose in it for me. And then like meeting the people during that process and helping people and seeing that there was so much to life, and so much that other people were going through. So I actually went into medical surgical nursing, which is kind of, you see everything, you get all types of people. And then to speed it up, so I went into that. I did bedside nursing for a while. And then like Monique was saying earlier, for those who were on, she was kind of searching for her happy place in her role in nursing. And I can relate to that, because I love medical surgical nursing, but I still had that business background that, was kind of always there. And I never thought about it as entrepreneurship. I just knew like, okay, like I told you guys, I wanted to be some sort of either fashion stylist. Then it turned into like, working in this part of nursing. I wanted to do marketing. So I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes you end up touching a lot of things as you find your focus and your way, because a lot of times we don't know how to funnel and tunnel that vision into what we want to do. So I think that was a lot of why I lived so many lives as far as careers went, because I was always looking for like, what is my thing? What is it that I want to do? And so I went into management in the nursing field, and then I went into healthcare consulting. And in that role, I met a friend who was doing speaking engagements and talking about her, so the role that I was in is called patient experience and employee engagement. And so we talked about like how to create great experiences for our patients, how to work with everybody from the bottom to the top of a healthcare organization. So we would coach them. We would go in the same way that Shani coaches entrepreneurs. We would coach healthcare staff, everybody from, you know, whether they were housekeeping to president of the hospital, on how to treat patients and the employees to make sure that everyone has a great experience in the hospital. So my friend was doing speaking engagements, and I thought that was so cool. So she was getting paid big bucks to go on the stage and talk about the experience. She had a son who had a lot of illnesses, and she would talk about his experiences on these big stages in front of these big audiences, and they would pay big bucks for that, right? And I'm like, oh, I could do that. I can talk about, you know, employee engagement and experience. So, you know, how can I get into that world? And so from there, I went to a diversity and inclusion in healthcare event. And we, from what we talked about a little bit ago with some of the other speakers, going into these networking events and making these connections can be so valuable. So I went to that event, and there was a chief medical officer there, and he's like, "What do you do?" We were talking, and I'm like, "Oh, I, you know, coach physicians, coach, you know, healthcare practitioners about the employee experience and patient experience." He's like, "I need somebody to come speak about that in my organization. You do speaking?" And I was like, "As a matter of fact, I do." You know, I had never done it before, ever. So I was like, okay, I got to make a website. Because he's like, "Send me over all your information." I made a website that night, found some, did a business cards on Vistaprint, sent that over to him, sent him everything. And he was like, "Yeah, we want to book you. We want to hire you. This is how much is in the budget." I was like, "Oh, that'll work. That's fine. I'll do it." So like, I had my husband come with me as my camera guy. And like, I did that talk, and that was the first like speaking engagement that I had. And from there, I was like, okay, I can do this. I can start my own business. Well, as you go on that journey, it's like, how do we start our own businesses, right? As women, you know, and especially as people who, for me, I'm a first generation, you know, my parents, like I said, they were all about work, get a good job, get good benefits, do what you have to do. Entrepreneurship wasn't really a thing. My mom has always been interested in it, but she had never started a business. I didn't have those people in my circle to really tell me about that. Like, they could tell me about how to get a job. They could tell me about how to, you know, go to work, how to, you know, work towards somebody else's dream, but not how to necessarily work towards mine outside of like a corporate framework. So I started going around and meeting people, going to networking events, going to all types of, like any type of event that I could come across that looked like it would talk about business information, entrepreneurship, all of that, I would go. And I started making these, like connecting with people, learning people, meeting people. And throughout that, I decided, okay, here's some things that I think people need to learn if they're like me and they want to start their own business. And so I started off doing panel discussions, so similar to this, except back then we were doing real life, right? And so having these meetups and all of that. So I had a panel discussion that was called Leveraging Your Network to Create Impact. I invited some, you know, heavy hitter speakers in Chicago, and had them as my first guest. And people really liked it, and they were like, "You should do this again." And so I just started doing it, you know, more and more, and it built into a conference. So I started doing conferences and workshops. And then in November of last year, I opened an event space, which is designed to be an event studio, creative workspace for women, and also a place that people can rent to have their own events and have their own workshops. So like a lot of coaches or people who are small business owners who are looking to have a pop-up shop, those are the types of people that the space was designed for, right? And so that's November. Now March hits, and here's COVID. So in thinking about ways to, you know, still create what I desired to create, that's how, I think that's how we connected. Unique, she had a ticket to my live event, which turned into a digital one, which I called Master the Pivot. So how do we pivot in times when things aren't how we think they should be? COVID-19 is one thing, but like I said, we did this in 2008. And how many other times have we experienced things that rock your foundation as an entrepreneur or as a professional person working a job, there's always going to be something. So this is like, for me, I feel like this is one moment in time, but this is not like, you know, just this moment. This can happen at any given time. So you have to think about how you can, you know, flip the script and change directions when you need to, how you can be flexible, and how you can continue to build your business no matter what. Because some things that seem recession proof, we learned that they're not. It just depends on what kind of recession we're in. Like if something were to happen where our internet and digital infrastructures were to go down, what would be another way that we could all connect? Because this happens to be this moment where we can do digital. What if all this happened and the internet went down? We've seen that where Facebook and Instagram go down, and then people who make their money by Facebook and Instagram are like, what do I do next? And they talk about have your website in order, have your email list intact so you can keep in touch with people. So just thinking about ways that, you know, we can work our businesses so that no matter what happens, we can always figure out a way to sustain and maintain, you know, what we're building. I think that's so important. So that's my story. I know that I speak kind of fast sometimes, but I wanted to, I know everybody's been here for a while and I didn't want to keep you, but just kind of, you know, want to provide that support. As Yonique said, that is the basis. So like I said, ICANN is innovation. I think we should be innovative, collaborate, accountability, hold ourselves and each other accountable, and then build positive networks so that when things like this happen, we can have events like this where people get together and share ideas and talk through some of the things that we're looking to achieve. So I am ready for any questions you may have about my process or about your own and how I can help you through that. I have a Facebook group called Beast Your Business. So that Beast Your Business is kind of the umbrella, under the umbrella of the ICANN Collective. So that's a conference and workshops that I gear towards women that get even more specific on the business aspects and entrepreneurial journeys of people. So my conferences tend to bring out experts that talk about things they've done. So it could be email marketing. They could talk about building your social media, talk about funding, financing your business, and all of those things. So giving you the tools and strategies that you need to build a business that sustains you. So let's talk. If you have questions or anything like that, I am open to all of that.
I have a question, but in the meantime, guys, if you have a question, just, you know, let me know in the chat and I can call out to you. And that way we're not all speaking over each other, but let me know in the chat if you have a question and I can, like, you know, introduce you basically. But my question is, you know, I know we talked about like networking and stuff like that, but, you know, looking at your events, you do have like a lot of heavy hitters. So we just want to get some advice on how you approach those relationships, or how, you know, you can make sure that you kind of have a mutual give and take with that, because it can be, you know, a more, I would say the heavy hitters might say, oh, they're just wanting to take from me. That was a conversation with an influencer earlier this week, but, you know, you how do you kind of cultivate that to make it seem, or make it like it is, that it is a give and take back and forth with those people? Did you, when you said it was a conversation, is something that you had with somebody or something on social? It was something on social with, I think you might have signed it with the Twitter, and you know, someone was reaching out for mentorship, and she kind of answered in a way that I thought I didn't really like, and I'm so happy I never experienced that. And that's another conversation, but like, how can you, you know, as you know, speaking to the influencer and the brands that I have on right now, or who might see this, the recording, how can they make sure that they're not coming off the wrong way? I wanted to talk about that. I'm glad you brought it up, because it seemed like mentorship came up a lot during this whole session. And yeah, it can be difficult. So here's, I think that, does everybody know what she's talking about? Because I'll give some background. Okay, so an influencer online, on Twitter, somebody sent her an email
asking for help, looking for mentorship. And so that potential mentor answered her kind of snarkily, but it wasn't just the answer. She put that information, she showed the email that the girl sent her and the email that she sent her, and kind of used it as an example of how not to ask. Now, personally, I think that that person who asked caught the brunt of probably a bad day, week, or month. So just from what I've experienced, and look, I don't feel like I'm not huge by any, I'm not Oprah, I'm not Michelle Obama, I'm not any of those people. But like, you might get 20, 30, 40, 50. Somebody like Monique is probably getting 500 emails any given, when you combine DMs and all of that. So one thing that I learned, and I'm so glad I never experienced it like that. So the things that I experienced were either they don't answer at all. That's been the biggest one. Either they don't answer at all, or I get like, somebody might have a fee of $20,000 to speak, and hey, I ain't mad, bravo, I just can't get you. But so the thing I think that people need to think about, one, I know the mentorship thing comes up a lot. And Monique made a good point. She said, don't necessarily ask a mentor like, I'm trying to build my business, what should I do? So this is a person who doesn't have a lot of time. They don't have a lot that they can't necessarily invest in the baby steps, right? So what you need to do is build that foundation. I have a lot of mentors, but guess what? I don't have the mentors that people think of. My mentors are Gary Vee, Monique Rodriguez, who we don't talk on the phone or anything like that. Who's another mentor? Mahisha Dellinger, who owns Curls. I don't talk on the phone with Gary Vee or any of those people. I go and I look at what they're putting out there for free. What have they mentioned? When you start asking them for information that's on their last podcast, that's when they start getting triggered, right? In terms of this woman who did this on Twitter, she should not have put her on blast like that. What would have been helpful is she's a blogger. So she has a blog in the past that talks about how to get an email, how to write an email that people will answer. Look up things like that. So I don't know, when I go back, I don't know if I've done anything that might be offensive, but I think about that all the time. And I'm like, it wouldn't have been on purpose, but I did used to say like, hi, I'm Afenya and I've created this and I've that, and I would love for you to come speak for me because I, and it's not because you are self-centered. It's because you're trying to prove why they should work with you. But the way to open up that conversation in a different way is, if I'm going to say, I followed you for this long. This is what I've noticed about you that I love. This is why I want you. This is why I think you would be great. And what are the steps? You also have to think about how you close, because some people say, if you're interested, email me back. You just gave them an out. I'm not interested, so I'm not going to email you back. It's not rude. It's just, this is what you asked them to do. If you're interested, fill out this form that I've created, right? Let me tell you, Mahisha Dellinger, Oprah, Michelle Obama, they don't have time to fill out the form. You're asking them to do something because you need them to do it to help build your brand, right? So it has to touch a space in them to make them want to do it. Yonique is really good because she does a really good job of, first, she connects with the people on the platforms that they've already offered. She's coming to your events. She's in your groups. She's DMing you positive things that have nothing to do with the ask. And I don't think it has anything to do with the ask anyway. It's not like she's doing it because she's going to ask you something later. She's building an authentic relationship. And then when she asks for something, it's because she's followed and seen what you've done. People have asked for things and they don't even know what I do. They just have seen it pass across in some way, shape, or form. Maybe somebody has told them something and they feel like you'd be good for whatever, and they haven't really looked into it. Example, this group came to they came to tour my space. First they emailed. I knew one of the people in the group, but you know, not really, but kind of. And they were like, you know, they're having some type of event or whatever, and they want to have it at my space. They wanted to have it for free. They wanted to have, they wanted a focus that was a positive focus, but it had nothing to do with my platform. My platform is women in entrepreneurship, right? Now, I can branch off from that. Like, I can talk about diversity in healthcare. I can talk about a lot of things. I can focus on a lot of things. But when it comes to what my energy, my main target audience and energy is, you should understand that. So when they were asking, at the end of the conversation, the guy was like, oh, do you do events too? And I'm like, do I do it? Like, how are you asking for something and you don't even know what I do? It's like talking to, and I keep using Monique because she was just on, but like, let's say Shani, talking to Shani about your platform, and then at the end saying, hey, have you ever heard of any good programs that coach entrepreneurs? How do you not know that about her if you want something, you know, for her or from her, or you want to collaborate in some way? So you have to think about that. I think the best way to get some people into collaborating with you and all of that, I also think it's good to take steps to get to where they are. So yes, I want, you know, Michelle Obama to be a speaker at one of my events. That's unicorn goal, right? I will not ask her today because for a few reasons, right? Just a couple. Just by her having like one of the hottest selling books in the world, I don't think that it would be great to be like, hey, Michelle, I want to write a book. Can you mentor me? If she were to say no, I don't think it's her being rude. It just makes more sense, right? To pull back, think about somebody who's in your lane, right? So who are the people who maybe have 5,000 followers, who are building their foundation. They're looking for speaking opportunities and they want to grow their business. How about, you know, finding a connect at Essence Magazine and seeing if there is an aspiring, like not even aspiring, maybe they work for the magazine and they're an editor or something like that who wants to come speak. You start to get on people's radar by being known as an expert in that field, or being known as the plug, the connect, the person that people want to go to. Think about, Monique said earlier, there was an influencer that was rude to her. And then like now, I'm sure that person would be dying to work with her. You also have to like think about where that person is. And, you know, if you're wanting to build up to that level with them. So if they say no, they don't have to be rude, but they may say no. And it could be a just not right now. I have shot my shot really high too. Like, you know, I say I wouldn't write Michelle, but I shot my shot real high too. And those people, it's funny, they do say yes. And it's surprising, but it comes with how you formulate your ask, and then what receipts you start to have. So it became easier to do that when I say that, oh, Monique has spoken for me, you know, Tanya Sam has spoken for me, you know, this person from this TV show, that person that's written that book. So then they start to want to align with you, just like brands do. When you're asking Pepsi to sponsor your event, and you say, because last year we had Gatorade, we had Box Water, we had Coca-Cola, you know, Google, then they want to be on that bandwagon, but you have to build to that too. I think the internet makes us sometimes want to wake up. I'm guilty of it too. You know, you want to wake up and have the $40,000 contract. It takes so much time, effort, and energy. And because we follow these people on social media, it just seems like it was like that. But you forget about the groundwork and all the years of work that they put in before they got to that level. So I would say start building your collaborations with people who, you know, if you're at 2,000 followers and you're like, I want somebody who's kind of a, you know, a heavy, and you're like, okay, they have 5,000, 10,000. Let me go for that. And then, like, I think you should shoot your shot at unicorns too, just to try it. But tell them what the goal is, what you're willing to bring to the table. It may be money. It may be that you have a budget and you want to ask them, what's the cost to work with you? Or if it's not, be upfront. I don't have a budget, but this is what I offer. I have a niche audience of women that will be 15, 20, 30 women who are truly interested in this information, and they're influencers in their own lanes. They have this, and maybe like individually, somebody has 200 followers, 300, 1,000, but collectively, everybody who's been in this virtual session, how much influence is that collectively? So that is now a receipt that you can use and say, you know what, I have a 2-day event and it's going to touch, so let me add Monique, and then let me add the people you got tomorrow. That's how many thousands of people? Michelle has a lot of followers. Honey Pot has a lot of followers. Monique has a lot of followers. You know what I'm saying? So like, what does that look like collectively? Because that's how your numbers seem to have more impact. And you are now giving them some value. You will be seen by people who have followers of this. It will be advertised to this many people, this type of network. It has impact because you're recording it. So it's not just the people who show up today. It's whoever you show this to.
Yeah, definitely. And guys, on my personal, where I basically interact more on my personal than my business, on my business, I try to comment and stuff like that. But my personal page, I have 214 followers, 214. And I was able to connect with Monique, Honey Pot. I was able to connect with Michelle. I was able to connect with Afenya. I'm basically saying, like, you have to know how to pitch your ask. And then the other thing is that before I even asked Monique for anything or even for a mentorship, I was on it, giving you guys another trick. I was on it when I'm on social media just bored. I have my notification on. When she posts, when she goes live, it's on. I'm ready to comment. I'm ready to like, because I had a genuine heart and I liked her as a person and I liked her products, and I gave out her products to my cousins in Jamaica, and I liked what she stood for, and I liked all the free information. So of course, when she had her podcast and that was new, I was up there posting her podcast with my 214 followers. I was posting, tagging her, tagging Mayel, posting, tagging. And it's not because I never thought I would like say yes to an event. You know what I'm saying? It's just because I genuinely wanted and liked her. And so I made my presence known with 214 followers. And that's what I've done with everyone that I have built a connection with. And even when asking, like, I would say, you know, because they can respond faster in the DMs, and I have Monique's personal email, but I didn't have her assistance. But I would say, hey, Monique, like, I'm doing this event and like, I want you to headline it or be the first one on, because I want them to learn about your struggles and how it was when you were a business owner. And I do that same thing. Like with Michelle, I was like, I know about her. Like, you know, she might not know me like, hey girl, but like, I'm just like, girl, I'm on it. I was studying. Okay. I did my homework. I knew you started out as an influencer. I knew now that you work for Mayel on their social media. And I also know that you have a business. And girl, I did my research and I read your bios, and I'm in the circle, okay, girl? So I was just like, I want you to bring what your goodness is to my event. And I asked like that. I showcase the fact that I know you. Okay.
And it's funny because me and Michelle are friends. I don't know if you even know that. We're friends. And so we were talking about you positively. You're like, we didn't know each other was going to be on this. And so when she emailed me, well, you emailed, I hadn't seen the email yet. And she was texting me like, oh girl, and I'm like, what are you talking about? What we gonna be on together? I didn't even know. And it's just like, but that's that your name begins to precede you, and you have to think about that too. Like what in what ways are those connections? Because you never know who knows each other. And that's why it's good to, like, you know, always keep it right. You know, always keep it, you're just genuine. You know what I mean? And that's like, so people know each other. Like, you never think about Michelle worked for Mayel, you know, and it's funny because Michelle told me recently, she was like, oh, my name used to come up all the time at Mayel. I didn't know that. So you never know. Years of just interactions, and it leads to other things. And so never be worried about people saying no or yes or whatever. They say no, you move on and you try again, because your name will ring bells and you just keep doing what you're doing, and then it starts to all come together later.
Yeah, and guys, like I said, I was emailing, I don't think she gave me her assistant, but the CEO of Curls. She was gonna come on, but the date, the CEO of Unicurl, she didn't get back to me. I couldn't wait for her to get back to me. The CEO of Tailor Made Beauty, she had a loss in her family. I understand that. So I build these connections genuinely. Like the CEO of Tailor Made, like, she had an issue where a brand in Target was like copying her look, and she was posting about that. So of course, I am just my heart is just like always open to give. And there's 9 billion or 7 billion people in the world. So I'm not worried about getting my money. I'm not worried about getting my followers. I'm not worried about getting my likes, because whatever is for me is for me. Whatever relationships I need to build will come to me and be attracted to me. So of course I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is happening to her. I started posting. I started telling people like, hey, don't buy this product, buy the real thing. I went in Target and I saw the fake brand, and I took a picture and said, not Black owned, you need to order Tailor Beauty. And we might sell the same things, but that's besides the point, because she will have her customers, I will have my customers. And I think what some of the brands and influencers try to do is they try to say, no, these are my people. I don't want them to be exposed to you, because I don't want to share them with you, because then you're going to get my followers and you don't have anything to add. Because honestly, I can look up and see how many followers Monique has. She has 156K followers, and the collectives, I know she has more than I do for sure. I can collectives. Like 10,000, like, I'm just saying, I have 200 followers.
But you know what's so interesting too, like, you know, to what you said earlier, and a couple people said, I'm a product junkie, you're a product junkie, and some other people were saying that. So like, I'm not, like, I buy Monique, I love TGIN, Christia, that's my girl too. You know, like, my cousin, you probably know her from my event, but she's coming out with a skincare line. That won't stop me from buying you. Now I know about Pardo. That won't, like, none of it will stop people who are going, if they're not going to buy from you, they're not going to buy anyway. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing that, you know, you can do about that. But there's no reason to fight about it, because everybody goes to everything for a different reason. Like, you know, Mayel smells so good, and then, you know, something else will get my twist out right. Like, it's just like, what do you want and what are you buying for? So, you know, but I wouldn't say that's not natural. Like, people, I think that's a natural reaction. And unfortunately, as Black women, we're always clawing to the top, because it seems like we're never given the opportunity to be, we're never given that opportunity to get to where we're trying to get. So it becomes more difficult for us to trust each other, and to, because I think we sometimes make it divisive, but society does that to us too, right? That it becomes like, you know, there's only one Beyonce and there can be no, Cardi B and Nicki have to fight. Like, I've never liked that. I always thought they need to come out with an album or a song, not an album, but a song together. Meg, Nicki, and Cardi. Like, why can't we have that? But it's like people tend to pull us apart, and unfortunately we fall into the trap because it becomes a dog eat dog type of thing, and that's so sad. But if like you get a fraction of that 156,000 followers that she has to buy your product, just a fraction, by her supporting you, it will take nothing away from her business. But I don't. And that she's not like that, but so many other people are. And that's like the number one reason why. Because if you collaborate, if you do collab, that's what happens. The 100,000, the 10,000, the 5,000, they begin to see all of these different brands working together, and you get more customers that way. But I don't know that people really understand that part.
Yeah, even with the influencer, because I know we have influencer on here that are going to see this when I email it out to everyone, because I know everyone wasn't able to make this day. But like, as an influencer, like, I don't share things personally. I'm not sharing your stuff to get your followers or your followers to like my stuff.
Right.
I'm sharing for genuinely wanting to show support, because that's how I build relationship. I show support. I repost. That's how I'm building a relationship. I like. And yeah, sometimes I have to get off Instagram, but like, if I see it and I'm like, okay, she's promoting an event, why wouldn't I post it? Why wouldn't I comment? Why would that stop me from liking it? You know what I'm saying? Like, there shouldn't be a reason to say, like, there's a competition. Your only competition is yourself. I'm competing with me. And when I show love or I share things, it's just to build a connection and to build that relationship, because it is virtual, and I can't be knocking on your girl and say, hey girl, like, here's my products. Let me know what you think. You can't say, hey girl, here's a flyer for my event. So if it comes across my feed, I want to help you as building a relationship in this virtual world and show my support. And this is what I kind of want this whole session to be about. Especially with you having the I Can collectives, like Black women just, we had a great session. Oh, y'all really missed it. Y'all missing out. But go on her page though. She linked it in the
I'll do more.
the bio, but in the chat, so you can kind of get what I'm getting. But like, she was, we were basically in her session, we were talking about building relationships and the struggles we have. I remember Black, I forgot, Luxe. Is it Black?
Yes, here, Brittany. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, like, I met her in the group, and then I saw, because I started following her, because I was like, okay, I know I like candles, but like the ones from TJ Maxx is not cutting it. So I followed her, and then she was having a sale about candles. Okay, I reposted it, and then I got the candles, man.
Candles are the truth.
And then I was like, okay, so I am not even smelling the candles at TJ Maxx anymore. I'm not even looking. I mean, I did try to smell one at Home Goods. I tried to cheat a little bit, but I was like, no, God, they're not going to get me.
Not even Bath and Body Works. Like, those are supposed to be the good fragrance. Her candles are the truth.
They are. Like the blood orange, that's my favorite. There's another one that I have and I forgot. Like, I have them in here now because I just moved, and I'm like, yeah, I need my candles. So they're here, So basically, that's how I build connection. I'm like, okay, like, and then I heard about her story with her job and everything. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I like shared her things. Like, I don't share it, when I see it and I'm like, this is something I think my followers would love, I am going to go ahead and give you the truth. I'm not going to hold back on the good information. And the good thing is that you guys came to this session and you heard my secret on how I build connections, and some of the people I've been building connections with and continue to build connections with, because that's just the person I am. And I want you guys to be free as entrepreneurs, Black women, Black men, anyone who's on here, even if you're not Black, but just to be free of saying, I'm releasing myself of hoarding my information, hoarding my skills, and I am building connections moving forward. And I'm being intentional and genuine, because people can tell when you're not genuine and when you're a fan. And no one really likes a fan. I don't. Because it's like, if you're going to just be a fan, like, what do you have to offer me? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to show genuine support. Like I said, with Mayel, when I have her products, I tag her. I tag the business. That's showing genuine support so that whoever is following whoever of my 200 followers are following me, they can see, because that's just me being genuine. And I'm not looking at numbers. You think I watch my numbers? No. It doesn't matter, because whoever will see it, and that's it.
And I'm feeling like honestly, I think social media is good, and I know a lot of people focus on it or whatever, but I'm getting to the point where I just want to be like the person that is like Heinz ketchup, right? Like whoever founded Heinz ketchup, I don't know, but you go to the store and you buy it. Like when you can like you said, not fall into the social media trap in that way, right? You just post good things, you share people's stuff because you, out of the goodness of your heart, and you want to support them, and you like the product. Like that's what's up, and it's like, there's a lot of things I love about social media, but people also burn themselves out of it because of relying too much. A lot of people with a whole lot of followers don't always have the success that seems to come with that, versus you can have 100. There's a lot of millionaires that are not on social media. There are a lot of powerful people who don't use social media, or they just have someone running it just because it's there to exist, and it's not how they make the true connections of like, oh, she shared my stuff, I'm actually talking to you, versus like some big show for social media. I love social media, but it's not the end all be all of how to build a business or build a true connection with others around you. And like you said, it's virtual. You got to do some stuff virtually, but like the numbers game, you shouldn't fall into that.
Yeah, don't follow the numbers. And I've had an influencer say, like, we've done a group giveaway, and they were like, well, I'm not really getting a lot out of it because I didn't get any followers or I didn't get any engagement. And I'm like, it kind of put, I put that in my back of my mind, and I'm just like, I'm gonna store it back here because you're just not the one for me, because it's not about that. And I think that's what people don't understand. Don't look at the numbers, look at showing genuine support and having that connection. That is how Monique responded to my DMs. That is out when I need help with something or advice on if this website designer is charging me too much. That's how she responds to me, and not maybe 10 other people, because I built a connection. I built a relationship, and it's not about followers, because honestly, I mean, it's okay if they follow me, her followers, but that's not my intention. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have the right intention behind building relationships.
Yep. And that's specific. I like that question you just asked. Like, is this, designer charging me an appropriate price, versus asking, should I create a website? You see the difference in that? Like, that's the type of thing that she can answer like that. And there's value, and there's like, and that is a mentorship. I think people sometimes think mentorship means like this one-on-one 100% handhold. Sometimes you need a business coach. Maybe you need to invest in like a program. But if you're talking about like somebody you have you built a relationship with, and you have a question, they can answer it, and it doesn't like take their entire week to do it. It makes it a little bit easier, versus like, let me follow you throughout your entire week. And, then that might become more of it. They might have an opening for an intern or they might pay you to do some of the work that you want to do. You got to think about what relationship you really want with a person. Is it a mentorship? Is it a coaching relationship? Is it a paid internship? Is it an unpaid intern? What is it that you want from people? Because if you outline it well, then they can give you what you need. And it won't seem as confusing and like they're not trying to help, but they can give you what you need. Because some people, I think of mentorship as one way. Like if someone is selling a coaching program, then they're probably that's probably the way to get their mentorship. But I don't think everyone thinks of it in those different ways. And then, like, after you've been part of a program, you might be able to reach out or whatever. It's so many ways to get in to what you're trying to do, but you have to think about how that works for yourself and the person.
Right. You have to think outside of the box because, and I'm going to touch on this so you guys can enjoy your Friday.
Yeah, I know. We going, girl. We are like.
Yeah, we could do this for hours, guys.
Yeah.
We're just spilling the tea or the wine, but I have water, just. But like, even with Monique, like, I don't know where, I think it was either her podcast or somewhere where she said that for you to be established as a real business, you need to have a good website. She said that somewhere that I remember. So of course I'm not going to ask her like, hey Monique, should I get a website or Etsy? She's already said that previously, that she thinks a real website and not Etsy is going to work. So I'm not going to ask her. I might ask her now, hey, like, she did suggest someone for the website for me. And then I was like, hey, this person was trying to charge me, I think it was $6,000 or $3,000. And she's like, no, that's too much because I wouldn't pay past $1,500. So that is where you as an individual, and a lot of times, even small business owners that are spread thin or influencers that are small, they won't take the time to dig and do the research to get you to a certain level. You guys have to do that base level so that you're not coming off uneducated. Because then sometimes, honestly, and I think like this, and sometimes my friend has to let me know, like, you're too blunt. And I'm just like, but if they would take the time to read, I wouldn't be so blunt. You know what I'm saying? It's just sometimes you're asking me questions, and this goes for business owners that are selling products too, that you could, it's on the website, and it can get a little tiring, especially like someone of your level, Shani and Monique, or the Curl CEO, all those people that are to a certain level, that, okay, you're sending me 10, I got 50 DMs of people asking me small stuff that they can either find on my podcast, on my website, on my Instagram, on my Facebook, or my YouTube. So you can understand why they don't respond. It's because of that. And when you can get that and just make sure you're building on a level to sustain, to even warrant a response, because sometimes I get that sometimes from friends, they're asking me questions, and it's just like, I don't respond because I felt like I've already given that information somewhere up there in the thread, or I have said something along the line to them and communicated that they shouldn't have to ask me that question. So that can get irritating, especially when you're to a level. So sometimes, guys, think about that when you're pitching your big pitches after you've made the connection. You've made a connection. Don't be like, hey, Monique, do I need a website? She's probably going to look at you like, okay, she needs to grow up. I don't know what she's going to say, but she's probably going to be like, she's probably going to be like this. Oh, Monique, do I need a website for my skincare line, and can I just sell through my DMs? Because you haven't watched a podcast, listened to a podcast. You haven't been on the lives. You haven't been on the Instagram. So it's like when you build those connections and you're tagging and you're liking and you're putting on your notification, please don't ruin it with questions that are, I wouldn't say all questions are dumb, but questions that are things that you can find out on your own.
Because Google is amazing. I'm a partner with Grow with Google. Google will, and podcasts. I remember binging Side Hustle Pros podcast. When I started this journey, it was like, okay, my friend put me on that. I binged it, and I listened to every single episode. Like, you said it earlier, you have to be hungry. You want it or not. Do you want it or not? There are so many. HubSpot, Side Hustle Pro podcast, Monique's podcast, just putting the question in Google, like somebody has answered it. And then there's also opportunities to buy programs. Like if you like, I have to skip steps, I don't have time for this. People package it in pretty little packages, and sometimes that package could be $20. It may be a $20 course, versus the $3,000 course. There's so much out there, though. There's so many. Do you know how many free masterclasses I signed up for. Like Shani just said, she has a free masterclass, so much so that I have an email address specifically because my email's filled up with so much information, because after you go to that, you're going to start getting more and more emails from that company. And so it's so much until you're able to invest dollars. I think at some point you're going to have to invest money in your business. But until you get to that point, take the free stuff at least to build the foundation and start with podcasts, YouTube, Google. It's out there. It's so out there. But I know everybody has to enjoy the rest of their evening. We could talk about, I'm going to DM you, girl.
Yeah, we could talk about this forever, but guys, I definitely want to thank you. So I'm going to say my closing out speech. I hope this was informational as far as like how to build connections, how to push through as far as like building those relationships, you know, like Monique was speaking about how to get through hard times, how to use your pain for your purpose. And Monique was saying, you know, putting God at the forefront, the Holy Spirit is your guide. Even when I was doing this event, I was just wondering if I should really do it, because I don't know if it was me or God. And it just came to my head, like, I just been getting so many ideas to execute. So you just want to make sure you're being led by, for me, God and the Holy Spirit. And, you know, just putting God first in everything that you do. Monique spoke about that for sure, because like we've seen her business, it grew supernaturally. Like, it's not something that could be explained. You know, it's not something that, comparing it to other people, it's outside of the water, right? And I'm just so happy that when I saw her on Instagram, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, it was just like a divine connection to like start tapping in or like looking at what she's doing. And that's what you guys have to focus. Focus first on one person you admire, and then start consuming what they have. Don't try to get confused. Like, I love the CEO of Camille Rose and Curls and Aloe Naturals. All have bought all their products, TGIN. But I focused in on Mayel Organics and Monique. I don't know why. I just felt the genuineness, and I just felt like, you know, she's wanting to help. I mean, and not the others are not, but I'm just saying that I just felt a connection, you know, through the screen on Instagram. And I was like, okay, I like her. So I started following and started building that connection. And it might take 3 months. It might take 6 months. It might take a year, whatever it may be. So you just find that one person and just start consuming what they have, because they do have a lot of free things. So putting God first, executing, you know, Monique said, don't get taken advantage of. Okay, just be on the swivel with your head, because people want to take your money and run. Okay, trust me, they do. And then you have to write it off on your taxes. Spam, taxes, write off. But we don't want that. And then we have Miss Shani. She talked about like marketing. Like I said, she has a ton of free information. So if you're just not making money on Instagram for some reason or the other, and you cannot afford to hire her, I would definitely suggest looking at her free masterclass. Also looking at her free content already on Instagram that you could just play the videos and listen to while you're washing the dishes. I love information, and honestly, it is so hard for me at times, because I love information, to, it's hard for me at times because I love information to basically like consume it all. You know what I'm saying? So I have to find the time to do that, because it's hard to consume all the information. But that's why I'm telling you to focus in on that one person that you admire, that you can say, oh, this is an influencer. I trust her to be to have high integrity. I definitely trust her. I love what she does. She doesn't look like a phony. She doesn't look like she's just faking for the gram. Let me follow her. Let me tune in. Let me build that connection. And then you go from here. And then when you're asking, like, hey, like, I'm having an event, or hey, this is what I'm doing, or hey, what's your advice on this? What should I pay for a graphic designer? Stuff like that. Do you have a graphic designer I can use? Then when you're asking for something, they won't feel so slighted, and they would be more open because you have built that connection. So that's number 2 to summarize. But like I was saying, I kind of mixed it up. But Shani, free information, go seek it. Do what you will with that. I just hope you guys seek the free information. And then for Afenya, she has I Can Collectives. They had an awesome session I went to. I don't remember what it was, but it was via Zoom. And Monique was on it too. Alexis, the CEO of Unicurl, was on it. There was a couple other people that were on it that I forgot, but I remember the people that are in the same industry, but I know the other people I definitely followed. But that's besides the point. She has that connection, so she can definitely help in that area and how to build that. So I definitely suggest to follow her Instagram. All these people are on the flyer that I posted. Also, when I resend this recording to you guys, it will definitely be on there, and it's in the chat. I'll say the chat and repost it. So I want you guys to start. This is your opportunity to build a connection with at least one person you have met on here, an influencer, a business owner. Either way, I want you to build a connection with someone. So I don't know if Afenya has anything else to say to close out, because we kind of communicate the same way as far as like going back and forth. But I definitely want you guys to build a connection, follow the speakers that you see, and just kind of do what you will. Tomorrow we have a session. It starts at 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be having Michelle on. She is an influencer, blogger, a business owner, and she also works with My Yellow Organics. And then we have the CEO of Honey Pot Co. So it's going to be a shorter session tomorrow. It's just 2 hours, but it might be a little longer because these people like to just spill the tea and the gems and the oil and the wine. But that's fine. Okay, if you have to leave, I'll record it and get it to you guys. Probably going to be a while for me to get it to you guys, but you'll get it. So guys, we have a session tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate you. If you guys have nothing else to let me know, you can DM me. Hopefully everyone has my Instagram. And we're going to go ahead and head out of here because I want to have a cheap meal before everything closes because I'm on my weight loss journey. So see y'all tomorrow at 6 p.m. Bring your water, your tea, your wine, whatever you want to bring, and we are going to dominate again. So thank you guys for showing up. I'm going to say the chat one more time so we can all have the chat. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it for sure. I definitely dropped off my dog for you guys, so she's going to be mad at me. Like my little Destiny, I just ignored her today. Awesome. Thank you guys, and put thank you in the chat. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now. This might have to be edited a little bit. Oh, I can do this. Thank you guys for showing up. I appreciate it.